by the FA Cup winners, and that just shows perhaps a shift in how this trophy has been played out. It's only one time in the last 15 occasions that the team that have won this competition have gone on to enjoy league success as well, and that was Manchester United in 2011. But needless to say, if we look at these starting lineups, both managers have placed a great deal of importance in this competition. It's not being played at Wembley, as you might expect. That's been booked out today for a concert. So we are here instead in the Welsh capital, enjoying the beautiful Principality Stadium, and it is a capacity crowd in the afternoon sunshine in Wales, ready for an exciting game. What a summer we've had of football as well. So much excitement we've been able to enjoy throughout the summer, and now here we are again. One thing I've been preparing for is saying Enzo Maresca and not Pep Guardiola. It feels strange, doesn't it, when talking about this Manchester City side, but they are a side in the throes of a rebuild. The midfield especially, with Rodri probably on his way out. He's not on the bench today. He still has the lingering back issues, of course. He's not even on the bench today for Manchester City, and it definitely has the feeling of that midfield rebuild. Phil Foden is back in the side, and that is probably with Bernardo Silva and his move earlier on in the summer to Real Madrid, giving that space for Phil Foden once again to stake his claim at the heart of the Manchester City midfield. He has perhaps reason to feel disappointed not to have been named in Thomas Tuchel's England side during the summer competitions, but now he has the perfect opportunity to get back into the Manchester City side under Enzo Maresca, to be once again part of a starting 11 and perhaps prove his worth for international competitions as well. And Elliot Anderson, well, we will have to see. An awful lot of money was paid for him in that summer transfer window, a mere £116 million, give or take. That's a lot of pressure on the young man as well, you have to say. We spoke about Jack Grealish coming back, and that's another player who perhaps suffered a little bit under the weight of his very heavy price tag indeed. And will Elliot Anderson be able to cope with that pressure? Jack Grealish did speak to the media midway through his difficulties playing for Manchester City about the pressure he felt, and he felt a little bit relieved of that when he went out on loan last season to Everton. We'll have to see if he still has a future in Manchester City colours as well. There are a few formalities going on the pitch, hence the slightly delayed kickoff. Bruno Guimaraes is there, receiving his instructions, and it will of course be really interesting to see what he can bring to this side. An absolutely fantastic midfielder, very energetic player, really does look for the ball in multiple positions across the pitch. In fact, I think it would be fair to make a comparison between Guimaraes and the man who left the Manchester City midfield, Bernardo Silva, just in terms of the way they both go out looking for the ball all of the time, really trying to make things happen on the pitch. Christos Solis also with a fantastic opportunity, while some of the other players are eased back into that Arsenal side. Saka, Eze not involved in the pre-season campaign as their minutes have been managed. Declan Rice too, also with minutes that have been managed in the lead up to this game. Sam Barrett will be your man in the middle as he now makes his way to the centre of the pitch. Both teams huddling together, both playing in their regular home jerseys. Arsenal, the Gunners in red and white, City in the sky blue. It's a lovely afternoon in Cardiff. Arsenal will be playing in from the left to the right. It's the near side of the pitch, covered currently in the shade. Manchester City going from right to left. So the likes of O'Reilly and Ben White will be able to enjoy a little bit of shade as they get things started. Those on the other side will have to contend with the early sunshine. And we're ready to go, folks. Arsenal getting us started. Gabriel knocking the ball forward here. And now Arsenal coming through with Calafiori on the left-hand side. Tries to play the ball into the middle. He'll have another go at this Calafiori. Now knocks it forward to Madueke. Madueke plays the ball towards the back post. It's nodded on nicely. Comes out towards The back post with Ben White. Played forward once again. Calafiore will try and chase this down, and Arsenal have gone ahead in 25 seconds. Would you believe it? Manchester City have not even touched the ball yet, and Calafiore have put them ahead in the trophy opportunity, the first one of the season. Calafiore has the goal. Enzo Maresca's first official game in charge of the Citizens has seen them concede in what must be record time in this competition. Statisticians, let me know out there if there's ever been a quicker goal in this competition. Arsenal have just been allowed to walk the ball into the back of the net. Madueke heads it back outside to the edge of the box. It's knocked forward. Calafiore gets hold of the ball and is just able to walk it through. He has so much space, and it's the simplest of touches afforded to the Arsenal left back, the Italian fresh.
Enzo Maresca is feeling, having taken the reins. Ball played back to Donnarumma, who thrusts it forward into the path of Ruben Dias. He strides up towards the halfway line, just right of the centre circle. Played infield to Kovacic and then taken on by Gvardiol. He runs up towards the halfway line, then plays it infield. It's collected by Kovacic once again, and then out towards Kusanov. He's playing it right back today. He strokes it into the new captain, Ruben Dias, who'll be wearing that armband quite a lot over the course of the season. Gvardiol takes it towards the left, and then he's immediately harassed by Ødegaard. Luis Skelly comes to join the pressing before the ball's shifted out wide. Now Semenyo gets on it for the first time. They've barely had a chance to breathe, and it's difficult to breathe inside this stadium with all the smoke that's lingering around from the pyrotechnics which went off just before kickoff. But maybe there'll be more fireworks here because Foden is moving down the right. He's being played in by Haaland. He goes back out wide to Elliot Anderson, who's crossed, which he digs out by the corner flag, tries to get it into the centre, gets right underneath it, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left.
Yeah, I think, Sam, we're going to have to touch on that pass by Luis Skelly. You know, you look at him and his selection in the team, holding midfield player you potentially think he is. He was very advanced then, and the ball through the lines was absolutely magnificent.
It's ridiculous, wasn't it? And the way he dragged it back just before that to get out of the shadow of the Manchester City player that was marshalling him was a real sight to behold. Nico O'Reilly takes it down after the ball's given away in midfield. Bruno Guimaraes just goes and puts pressure on Doku. The referee allows that to go, and the Arsenal fans rather enjoyed the physicality shown and the competitiveness that Bruno Guimaraes may well inject into the midfield. It's quickly shifted on down the right touchline on towards Madueke, who cuts infield and plays it on to Ødegaard. Ødegaard is 15-20 yards short of the penalty area, drips it over the top towards Havertz. It's headed away by Josko Gvardiol, and then once again Doku goes down, but I think that was even more tame than the one that involved Bruno Guimaraes. Just a little hand in the back from Ben White. The free kick this time given, and we've had a breathless start to the game.
We certainly have, and we'll go back to that warm-up by Heinze. You know, Arsenal have come out the traps, and it's almost as though how he's generated the excitement, the intensity in that warm-up. Arsenal as a team, not just a back four, have come out and played that way.
headed away by Gvardiol into the path of Foden. Foden turns and tries to get it away, but he's dispossessed by a combination of Bruno Guimaraes and Ødegaard, and Calafiori's coming forward again. He's shifted it left. It's Solis into the centre. The deflection takes it up into the air, and Donnarumma eventually manages to grab it at the second attempt. The assistant puts the flag up on this near side, but Arsenal have started so brightly. They have started with verve and enthusiasm, and they put Manchester City on the back foot, and Manchester City at the moment are struggling to contain them, Stuart Pearce. 5 minutes gone, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, they certainly have got a great shape to them, Arsenal, defensively. Almost defend in a deep line role as a 4-4-2, but when they get forward, and Calafiori's been outstanding for that, obviously getting the goal, and just then as well surging forward.
The 104th Community Shield didn't take long to get spicy and competitive at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. Arsenal haven't lost a game of football in 90 minutes since April. 6 wins and 2 draws in their last day. The only heartbreak that they suffered in that run was that penalty shootout defeat in the Champions League final against PSG. They're a team that finished the season in 4th. Manchester City actually had a very good end to the campaign, only 1 defeat in their last 12, but they're on the back foot again here as Arsenal pinch it halfway, and the attack is led this time by Ødegaard, who gets to the edge of the area. He shifted it onto Madueke, might not have been the right ball, and Madueke struggles to feed it back to Bruno Guimaraes. And now the Manchester City counter-attack is on, with Foden leading it in those light blue shirts that fade into white. Out towards the left, and Doku cuts in, gets to the edge of the area, runs into Guimaraes, and then gives the ball away straight to Ødegaard, who turns and starts to inject more enthusiasm into the Arsenal attack. Up to Calafiori, who comes in that inside left channel so beautifully for Arsenal. He works it out to the Greek Solis, who travels up to the edge of the area, comes infield, tries to take on Kusanov, who does just enough to nab it away, and between him and Anderson and eventually Semenyo, Manchester City take the pressure off. It's a non-stop end-to-end game of football, Arsenal dominating it 1-0.
Yeah, they should have done a lot better in that previous counter-attack, Arsenal. Ødegaard, he didn't commit the central defender, Gvardiol, which he should have done, and then slip a decent ball into Madueke. The ball was delayed, then he's played it slightly behind him, chance was gone.
Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. 7.5 minutes gone in the game. And here is Jeremy Doku trying to progress forward once again. Arsenal just sitting back into their shape now and trying to plug all the gaps as Manchester City try to pick their way through. Immediately Guimaraes will engage with Foden as he receives it from Ruben Diaz. They go back to Kusanov and then all the way back to Donnarumma away to our right hand side.
It's amazing, even in these early stages, Arsenal, when they go forward and smell blood, they look as though they've got a real threat to them. Manchester City, on the other hand, in the odd counter-attack that they've had, it sort of runs the ground too quickly. You don't get excited and off your seat.
Well, we've only played 8.5 minutes, but certainly Arsenal look like they've got a lot more zip about them. Elsewhere in the Championship today, Burnley against West Ham getting underway at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Watford lead Southampton by 2 goals to 1. In the Scottish League Cup, Hearts 1-0 up against Inverness. Hibernian 1-0 up against Partick. Stenhousemuir 0-0 with Motherwell. Big game for Rangers and Derek McInnes. They've had a really terrible start to the season. And they take on St Mirren at 4 o'clock this afternoon. All eyes on that. We'll keep you updated here. And of course afterwards there's the phone in with Alan Pardew and Majestic. Here is Semenyo down the right hand side trying to outpower Ricardo Calafiori. Gets into the right wing position, cuts it back towards the edge of the penalty area. City on the attack here, trailing by a goal to 0. It's lifted into the box towards Nico O'Reilly. We're live on Talk Sport. Here is Gvardiol, tries to travel infield and then turns and looks up. It's up towards Anderson, who's burst into the box, but Calafiori will see that out. And Stuart Pearce, the former Manchester City manager, if you're standing on that touchline, you're Enzo Maresca. What message are you trying to get onto the pitch after the first 10 minutes of the game? Well,
I think you've got to match Arsenal's energy to start with. That's got to, Arsenal were the ones, even from the kick-off and putting the ball in the back of the City's net after 27, 28 seconds. The bottom line is they started the game with ludicrously good intensity about what they were trying to achieve, and Manchester City have literally got to match the intensity before you could even talk about a tactical scenario within the game.
11 minutes gone. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0, live on Talk Sport. Remember, tomorrow night, more live football, and throughout the week, we'll continue to bring you all the best of the action from the EFL. Friday night, we've got live Premier League action for you, as well as Arsenal take on newly promoted Coventry City, and then on Saturday, it's Hull against Manchester United. Semenyo for Manchester City. Tries to play it down the right to Elliot Anderson. Anderson doesn't get hold of it, goes back towards halfway, and then Ruben Diaz sees it all the way back to his goalkeeper. But the energy that Arsenal are employing, the closing down, the fact that they're not giving Manchester City a moment's peace is really unsettling Enzo Maresca's charges here, and it's really setting the tone. Guimaraes, who's certainly part of that, plays that forward to Ødegaard. It's a bit behind Madueke, who complains about the quality of the Norwegians' pass. It goes back to halfway. White helps it in field, midway between the edge of the penalty area and the halfway line. Bruno Guimaraes sends it wide. Ødegaard gets it back from Madueke and cuts into the Manchester City half of the field, and Arsenal very comfortable in possession and looking to try and pierce the City back line for a second time on the afternoon. Here is Gabriel Mosquera, who's filling in for the injured and probably out for some time, William Saliba. Out further to Solis. The tackle comes in from Kusinov, tried to win it in front of Solis and did so, but Arsenal get it back very quickly, and Lewis Skelly has found Bruno Guimaraes, and there's a bit of space on this right side for Madueke, and that's spotted. Madueke picks it up, moves in towards the edge of the area, right-footed cross, low into the near post, poked behind by Guardiola. Arsenal firmly on top, they win a corner.
Tell you what, Nat said before the game, what can you judge by these early stages? Straight away I can tell you two things about Arsenal. Solis will take a time to settle into this division on what I've seen over 11 minutes, and Bruno Guimaraes is going to be a massive asset for Arsenal. They're two things within 11 minutes I can tell you already this season.
Dead balls were a massive asset for Arsenal last season. 25 set-piece goals, 19 from corners. They won't be deterred by that, and they've got a lot of people hanging around at the back post here, and then running now into the 6-yard boxes. Madueke delivers. It's towards the near post, and Kai Havertz got up there, but City did enough to defend it. Back out wide it goes towards the right. It's taken into Ben White, who moves down the right-hand side, then tries to shuffle it backwards into Ødegaard. It's blocked by Doku, and it comes out towards the near side, and it'll be allowed to go out for another corner, because Ben White actually used his body well, shielded the ball, and it bounces off the corner post and goes out for another corner. No Saka to take them from this near side, so the duty is this time going to Martin Ødegaard. Again, 4 of the Arsenal attacking players start to bunch just left of the 6-yard box. Calafiori, Havertz and Mosquera and Bruno Guimaraes. The boys to the far post. There's a bit of a push on Gabriel. The referee gives the free kick the other way, Sam Barrett. But they are checking a possible penalty. The VAR, I've got the ability to listen to him in my ear today, and he has just said, just checking a possible penalty here. I think it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, don't you, Stuart?
Yeah, it definitely was. I think the first contact was Gabriel grabbing the shirt of Kusinov on what I've seen on the replay, and then both players were involved in a pushing and tugging game. No penalty for me.
To Vicarage Road over on TalkSport 2. Here's TalkSport's Ian Abrahams.
Watford 2, Southampton 1. Ryan Manning's just got over the top with a free kick from about 20 yards out. Time is not Southampton's friend here. 5 minutes to go. Live on TalkSport 2. Watford 2, Southampton 1.
Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0 in the Community Shield at Cardiff, where the clouds have just started to gather overhead. Donnarumma clips it out towards the near side, picked up by Gvardiol. That penalty check was cleared very quickly by the VAR today, who is James Bell, who is assisting Sam Barrett today. O'Reilly on the edge of his own penalty area. Manchester City already look a little bit different, don't they, from Pep Guardiola. The fullbacks expected to sit a little bit deeper than under Maresca's predecessor. Nico O'Reilly seems to have a licence to roam. He's playing almost at the moment. He's lined up as the second centre-half alongside Ruben Diaz. Guardiola's spread out towards this left-hand side when they're in possession and trying to build from the back, but every time they try to build from the back, there's an Arsenal jersey ready to close down whoever is the receiver of the ball in midfield, and they can't really get away. And once again, there's pressure on for this time from Ødegaard. Just about, Kovacic evades his marker and then drags the ball into the Arsenal half of the field, down the left side of the centre circle. Infield it goes to O'Reilly. He then travels laterally. Arsenal get men back behind the ball, and then it's picked up by Kovacic once again. 1-0 to Arsenal. We played 15 minutes on Talk Sport, and it's taken on down the right-hand side by Semenyo of Manchester City. And it goes from Kusanov to Diaz on the edge of the centre circle, and then picked up by Gvardiol, and then across by Kovacic out towards the right-hand side. It's a very big, long hit down the right inside channel, looking for Elliot Anderson, who's actually getting forward a little bit more than Kovacic, but it goes out of play and out for a goal kick. 16 gone, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0.
I take you back. Manchester City building up from the back. Arsenal magnificently well coached, well organised. They're setting traps for City to play a loose pass that will turn it over and you're in trouble. City managed to play through that press by gambling with the ball, and then within seconds Arsenal were back and got 11 players behind the ball. It's not 9, it's not 10, it's 11 every time. Every player back behind the ball. Incredible.
Cardiff Wrexham tomorrow night, Talk Sport 2. Thursday night, Tromso Brighton from the Conference League playoffs with Alex Crook and former Brighton manager Mark McGee. Friday night, Arsenal Coventry. Saturday, Hull Manchester United. Game day live with Adrian, Stuart Pearce and Charlie Adam, bringing you all the 3 o'clock action. West Ham Charlton from the Championship is Talk Sport 2 on Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday we are round the grounds from Newcastle United. They take on Liverpool. New era for Newcastle United, isn't it? And then Fulham Chelsea is our live game on Monday night. Very much looking forward to what is a wonderful season ahead on Talk Sport. Manchester City have the ball, chasing away back into this game. 1-0 the score in Arsenal's favour. Forward by Foden into Elliot Anderson, and looking for Haaland, who glances his header. Well, he didn't really get enough purchase on it at all. He was running up to the penalty spot, and as the ball came in from Anderson, it was a wicked delivery, by the way, and as he went to try and head the ball goalwards, it just sort of flicked off of the front of his brow and went out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's the first time that City have sort of opened up Arsenal through midfield. Anderson whipping a great ball into the box, and I'm a little bit surprised that Haaland's not got a touch of some description on that, Sam.
Well, I think he sort of went to go towards it, didn't he? And he didn't quite read it right, and it sort of flicked beyond him and ended up going straight out for a goal kick away to our left. But this is such a good start from Arsenal. Every time they get the ball, there you can see that there's a little bit of panic in the Manchester City backline. They drop off slightly. Solis is making runs on the left-hand side. Madueke is showing on the right. You've got Kai Havertz occupying Ruben Diaz and Josko Gvardiol. And Manchester City at the moment can't get their foothold into the game. 18 gone. Manchester City trailing by goal to 0 to Arsenal. Goal scored after 28 seconds by Riccardo Calafiori, who is another one who's become a major asset in this team, especially going forward. He doesn't necessarily play as many games as you would like. He's not as durable as you would like. He's only ever really played 30 games a season in the whole of his campaign, but he was a little bit better last season, that is for sure. Here's Guimaraes into Miles Lewis-Skelly, who will hope for more starts in an Arsenal jersey if he's going to stick around, which maybe the fact that he's starting today suggests that he might.
Well, listen, on what I've seen at the moment, it'd be absolutely folly to let him go out your club. I don't see why you would. The fact that he can play in that midfield area now and at left back.
But he's always been a midfield player. He was converted to a left back because needs must at the time, and he did a brilliant job in doing that. But he looks at home in that middle of the park, as he did towards the end of last season, and he has done in pre-season so far. Here is Elliot Anderson out on the right. Back infield to Kusanov. Kusanov to Diaz. Diaz just wanders forward, looks up, plays it to the right. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0 is the scoreline here. We played nearly 20 minutes of the game. It's into Foden, then back to Anderson. Anderson out towards the right, and Semenyo then plays it infield, and there's a bit of space for Foden for the first time. He's shot, he's parried, it comes back out. White then turns it away from goal. He's pushed by O'Reilly, and as Haaland tries to follow up the rebound, it's pushed to the side by Raya, but the whistle's already gone.
I'm not 100% sure that was a foul, actually. The goalkeeper spilled it from Foden's effort. Good save, to be fair, rather than spilled it. Maybe a couple of hands by O'Reilly on the back of Ben White. But difficult one for the goalie. It just bounced right on the floor in front of him. Done well to parry it away from danger.
David Raya, whose hair now tied up behind the back of his head in a little top knot with a bit that goes down the back. Kicks the ball long from the free kick, which was given eventually against Nico O'Reilly. There's a reasonable chance for Manchester City if they can creep back into this game. I think there will be chances for them. The evidence of pre-season so far is that Arsenal have conceded chances. Here is O'Reilly and Bruno Guimaraes again. Excellent aggression, determined to show that he deserves his place in this team after his hefty transfer fee from Newcastle United, certainly endearing himself to the supporters. There's a foul on Havertz there that goes against Manchester City, and it remains 1-0 to the Arsenal. Yeah,
going back to Guimaraes, the interactions he's had have been absolutely outstanding. He's broken danger up on 3 occasions, and when his teammates are playing out from the back and things got tight, he's happy to go and receive that ball even when a City player is touch tight on him.
Well, Mikel Arteta loves this game. He doesn't lose Community Shields. Won it twice as an Arsenal player, won it twice as an Arsenal manager. Both of his previous wins when he's in the dugout went to penalties. It's been the way of things in the Community Shield of late. Here is Calafiori exchanging passes with Solis, and then Bruno Guimaraes flies a brilliant pass from left out to right, so pinpoint accurate. Madueke can take it in his stride. He cuts infield. He probably should have laid it to the overlapping Ben White. He's kept hold of it well. He's still going. He's still got it. It's a lovely backheel to Bruno Guimaraes, who's down the right side of the 6-yard box. He pulls it back through the penalty area, but Anderson is there for Manchester City, and it goes out on this near side. But still, Arsenal keep up the relentless pressure. It's Miles Lewis-Skelly now who takes over. Guimaraes again with a chance to cross. It's too easy for Donnarumma, too close to him. He grabs it out of the sky and he will clear it away, and it remains 1-0. But they are looking menacing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Super build up here. It looked as though it run aground a little bit. Madueke done brilliant to keep it alive. Then a cheeky back heel to Guimaraes, and he should be driving that across the face of goal. Havertz waiting at the far post. Delayed too long.
And Solis was there as well. Now Ben White has just lost Jeremy Doku down his left-hand side. He's got beyond him for a second time, and Gabriel has to come across, and he slides and bellows in the face of Jeremy Doku as he puts the ball behind for a Manchester City corner. I mean, you can say what you like. I think most people who are not playing in this game look at it and think friendly, but there is nothing friendly about this.
No, rightly so. I think this has been one of the best for intensity Community Shields I've certainly covered over the years. Really good intensity, and in the main that's Arsenal that have probably contributed 80% of that.
Well, they set the tone, didn't they? Here's the corner, all the way to our left-hand side. Elliot Anderson, the new signing, right-footed, deep towards the far post. Raya comes, claims ahead of Semenyo, and then Solis pulled down over on the far side by Phil Foden, and Phil Foden is going to be the first recipient of a yellow card for the top flight season of 2026-27.
Well, Phil Foden's just gone to the referee, got booked for pulling back Solis, and rightly so he should have done, and then he's put his hand over his mouth talking to the referee. Now, is that not a yellow card?
No.
Good, okay, I'm glad you've cleared that up with me, because I had no clue.
Okay, well, if I had time, and this game is too breathless,
let's move on.
I would go through all of the brand new appendix to the laws and VAR this season, but as you say, we can't really be bothered to do that.
Yeah,
we'll get into it at some stage.
Indeed.
Not in use for English football, by the way. Corner checks and mouth-covering red cards, just so you know. Here is Haaland trying to jump through the centre, looking to try and get ahead of Mosquera, who gallops and nudges it back to David Raya, and it's cleared away. There's quite a few new changes, and actually speaking to a few officials last week, I think they felt that the game wasn't as free-flowing last season as maybe it should have been. So I think football as a whole has tried to adopt, and this is world football, adopt laws that speed the game up, and certainly the Premier League adaptations of those laws are designed to ensure that we get a better product this season.
Well, the better product will be served if they stop the back chat to referees and stop diving. But let's move on. It's too early in the season.
Too early. 25 minutes gone, nearly 26. You're listening to Talk Sport. Let's go off to Vicarage Road, where it's all finished for Ian Abrahams.
Watford 2, Southampton 1, not the start Saints wanted. They were 2 down at the break. Goals from Bravo in the first half and Nabizada. The second half they did pull one back from Kyle Larin, but missed a golden chance to the end for a point when Harwood Bellis side-footed wide. Finished here, Watford 2, Saints 1.
So Saints rooted to the bottom of the table with -4 points after that opening game of the season, and Watford putting 3 points off the board. Many people thought they might struggle. Here's Madueke down the right-hand side. Guardiola covers the ground brilliantly and meets Madueke in the right-wing position, slides the ball out and puts it out for a throw. Odegaard was threatening to take it quickly, as you have to nowadays. Ball infield towards Mosquera, onto Bruno Guimaraes. He then nudges it forward, and Odegaard looks for the run of Ben White down the right-hand side, and he's not going to keep that in. It was a little bit too much from Odegaard, who just a couple of times actually, and let's go down to Alex Crook, who's watching from the touchline today. Just Odegaard, one of those who looks as if he's still a little bit ring-rusty.
Yeah, absolutely, but you can't say the same about Bruno Guimaraes. You and Stuart have been waxing lyrical about him. So have the Arsenal fans. 5 minutes in, after that very robust challenge on Jeremy Doku, the first chance of Bruno. Safe to say they have a new hero, these Arsenal fans, and it's not just on the pitch City are lacking intensity, in the stands as well. Arsenal fans winning the sing-off hands down.
Here is Doku though, coming forward for Manchester City, looking for Foden, again not quite on point, and it's cleared away by Arsenal. Up to Havertz, who holds it up well, finds Solis weaves infield, gives it to Odegaard motors up towards the edge of the centre circle. Now it's taken on by Madueke now runs up and faces Nico O'Reilly, tries to outsprint him on the outside, those two England teammates from the summer. He holds him off, turns it back, gets to the right angle of the penalty area, finds White tucks it infield. Miles Lewis-Skelly spreads it back out towards this right-hand side once again. And then it goes into Odegaard. Odegaard looks up, tries to curl it, far post. Solis back across the face of goal. Havertz is there. Donnarumma can't keep it out. And Arsenal lead by 2-0. Brilliant crossfield ball this time by Odegaard. Solis has his first assist. He got loads of them last season in Belgium. He's provided one on a plate for Kai Havertz. Donnarumma couldn't keep it out. It went under his body and squirmed into the net. And Arsenal lead by 2-0.
Yeah, City are paying the penalty for not being aggressive enough, some 25-30 yards out from their own goal. Arsenal can sit on the ball, no pressure on the ball whatsoever. They can make movements, they can get their head up and feed a great ball into the box. That's a woeful goal to concede from Manchester City's point of view, I've got to say. But Arsenal won't worry about that.
Well, Christoph Solis, £30 million from Club Brugge, a record for the Belgian league off the back of 22 goals in 52 games and 23 assists in the Belgian league last season, more than any player across Europe's top 10 leagues. Straight into the Arsenal team and immediately delivers a header back across the face of goal, which fell to Kai Havertz. Donnarumma will be disappointed, I think.
Sam, that doesn't even cover it. Disappointed, I've got to say. If I was a Man City supporter at this moment with the 2 goals that have beat him already, I'll be thinking to myself, should we have sold Trafford?
2-0 to Arsenal in the Community Shield, and Arsenal determined to make a statement at the start of the season. If the question was, is it about hunger? Because it's not about talent. They proved that last year. 22 years they waited for that 14th title. They were second 3 times in a row before they finally got it. It took a lot out of them last season. There's no doubt that they expended every possible bit of energy they had. Arsenal. The question marks were, can they come back this season and show the same level of intensity and desire? And if this is any measure, they are answering it with an emphatic yes. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 0 in the Community Shield live on Talk Sport. And I think Enzo Maresca is having a bit of a rude awakening.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And as I say, you're better off getting it out your system in this game than next Saturday and beyond, that is for sure. But City at this moment playing at a tempo which isn't good enough to stay with Arsenal's ability tempo, and they're going to have to find some oomph from somewhere.
Well, I just wondered actually, you know, whether or not, and I mentioned a bit beforehand about the change in the way that Manchester City will play under Enzo Maresca, but he was always sort of criticised a little bit for a lack of dynamism in his build-up play. It was always a little bit slow at Leicester. The fans were never really enamoured, and Chelsea a similar sort of feeling. I just wonder whether or not, when you're up against a team as high-octane at Arsenal, one of the things you have to do is show the same level of intensity, otherwise you will get bullied and pushed off the ball.
Yeah, as I say, they're ticking all the boxes, Arsenal, at the moment. Extremely well organised, defensively difficult to break through, and on the counter-attack, driving forward, picking holes in Manchester City. And when they're getting in advanced areas, City are not tight enough around the key areas, some 25-30 yards out. And if you let quality players get their head up, they'll find a pass.
Alex Crook is down on the touchline. In fact, as Alex Crook just moved into the Poznan, which is taking place on the Arsenal end, away to our right hand. So is that you I saw there? No. Here's Haaland at the other end, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Semenyo then goes across after it's deflected by Calafiori, and it's taken out on the far side by Solis. Yes, the Arsenal fans doing the Poznan.
I tell you what, they are absolutely loving their day out in Cardiff. Immediately after that second goal hit the back of Donnarumma's net, "Are you Tottenham in disguise?" was the taunt they aimed at the Man City fans. Brilliant from the Arsenal supporters so far. I say, Mikel Arteta pretty cool and calm on the touchline. Maybe a new demeanour now that he's a champion this season.
Here is Elliot Anderson looking for Semenyo, whose cross is blocked by Calafiori. It spoons up into the air, drops behind and goes out for a corner for Manchester City, and a rare bit of action away to our left in the area that Manchester City are attacking. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 0. This is Talk Sport. We're live at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff for the Community Shield, the 104th Community Shield. Ali McCoy's back on breakfast tomorrow with Jeff Stelling from 6 a.m. Make sure you set your alarms, because that will be explosive. Arsenal have started with explosive football here. Corner in from the far side, pushing and shoving going on inside the box, and the referee Sam Barrett not happy about the physicality, and he will have a word with both captains before getting the corner kick taken again.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in football, Sam, have been saying when Pep leaves, what's it going to look like, you know, because of the intensity he drives his team at, and maybe we've got an indicator, even at this early stage of the season, what things are going to be like.
Well, can't really read too much into Community Shield. The winners of it haven't gone on to win the league since 2018. But Arsenal trying to buck that trend. Here's the cross from Foden towards the far post. A lot of room for Josko Gvardiol, who returns it towards Ruben Diaz. It spoons out the other side, and then White prods it with his head out into the left fullback position, where it's recovered by Foden, and he now looks to try and send the ball left-footed into the penalty area. It goes a little bit too high over the head of Ruben Diaz, and then drops in the 6-yard box, goes behind that for a goal kick away to our left. So 33 minutes on the clock, and Arsenal in front, and I just wonder whether Enzo Maresca will be thinking about making one or two changes at half-time. But when I look down at the bench of Arsenal, and I look down at the bench of Manchester City, the other thing that I notice is I'd rather have Arsenal's.
Yeah, I saw that before the game and looked, and often it's a great assessment of which squad you think strongest on the day, and Arsenal's definitely is. And I've just seen Lewis Skelly just stay with and muscle out O'Reilly on occasion, and I tell you what, he's done a brilliant job for the team. He's playing in that central midfield area, but every time O'Reilly's got into that area, that central area to look to get into the box, Lewis Skelly's picked him up and tracked him in there.
Well, he's been to the World Cup that Lewis Skelly should have been to, hasn't he? I mean, if you go back 18 months, when Lewis Skelly was given his debut by Thomas Tuchel, scored very early in that game, you'll remember, He was almost nailed on to be the left full-back for England going forward. He was playing for Arsenal at that stage on a regular, and then obviously lost his place in the Arsenal team. Meanwhile, O'Reilly came through and ended up playing for Manchester City in that position for a lot of last season, and then ended up going to the World Cup as a result. Did a very good job, by the way, at many of the matches in the build-up to the World Cup and during it, Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah, as I say, what that does is sends a message out. In this division, in this country, you've got to keep your standards high.
Which is good, I think.
Exactly, it is for the players. Keeps the pressure on all the players.
Free kick given against Ødegaard, deep inside Manchester City territory, 10 minutes before half-time, and Arsenal leading, but here is Haaland, fed by Doku. He tries to shoot, but lost his footing as he pulled the trigger. There was a quick ball through the middle of the park from the free kick to find Doku, then slipped it down the inside right channel, and then as Erling Haaland, who was running away from goal really rather than towards it, went to try and reverse it back across David Raya, he sort of lost his footing and went sprawling to the ground, and it remains 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, didn't get clarity on the finish. His movement was outstanding, but I'll tell you what, this is one of the great head-to-heads of the season. Every time they come up against each other, Gabriel and Haaland, I love watching them. No quarter given, is there?
No, and although Gabriel is at the moment winning this one, Haaland has won them more often than not. In fact, won recently in the World Cup when Brazil took on Norway in New York City.
Yeah, I think defenders normally sort of will gain a bit of inspiration. I think a lot was made about Gabriel being left and pushed to the floor, weren't there, on occasion?
Yes, there's a little bit of I think they like the fact that there's a bit of competitiveness between the two of them. I think Madueke is offside here, but he's been played forward down the right-hand side. He's galloped up towards the edge of the area. He's got into the box. He's tried to tease a shot forward, and now the offside flag goes up anyway, and it should have gone up a long time ago. The referee now wants to give the free kick, but Manchester City had the ball, so if you want to get the game moving and keep things going, why don't you just let them go on with it?
I don't understand that. The officials are so good at calling the offsides. The offside was a yard inside the half.
Unnecessary, really, to sort of allow that, either to allow that to go, but also to, once Manchester City have got the ball and they're trying to get it out and move it quickly, Donnarumma came racing out, wanted to bowl it into midfield. It was then stopped from doing that. We had a bit of a stoppage, unnecessary. Now they've given the ball away from the free kick. Guimaraes almost played it out to the right, then decided against that. Ødegaard sweeps it forward. Havertz holds it up. Solis is in space left side, joining into the box, and Solis cuts in on his right foot, leaves it for Calafiori down the left-hand side. Kusanov tries to win the ball, didn't do so. The dive from Calafiori was a little bit dramatic, and Sam Barrett is not going to tolerate that yellow card, Calafiori, for simulation.
Well, Kusanov's gone down very early, kept his feet away from it, and it was nothing more than a pathetic dive. It really was. And listen, if I was Calafiori and you look at the referee and you claim it's a penalty, I'd give him a double yellow for that and get him off. If you're going to outlaw diving in the game, that was pathetic.
Well, the VAR have checked it and confirmed with the referee that he was absolutely spot on to deliver a verdict of simulation. Good refereeing from Sam Barrett. One of those I think we'll see a lot more of this year. There's a bit of a turnover in terms of officials. Recognisable figures like Sean Massey-Ellis have moved on into different jobs, and Anthony Taylor, another one of those, who is gone to pastures new.
Yeah, it'll be a miss, I think, Anthony Taylor. I think he's a good referee.
Flicked by Foden, infield towards Anderson. Anderson moves up towards the centre circle, plays it left onto O'Reilly. O'Reilly moves into the midpoint of the Arsenal half, then tries to come infield. 2-0 Arsenal lead. The goal's coming after just 28 seconds and then 28 minutes. Ricardo Calafiori scoring the first, and then Kai Havertz with the second after a ball from Ødegaard nodded back across the face of goal by Solis. And it's 2-0 to the Arsenal. 39 minutes gone. It's our first Premier League commentary. It's not Premier League commentary, is it? It's Community Shield commentary of the season. Our first top flight commentary of the season so far. Stuart and I. There's a little bit of space at the back post here for Doku, maybe too much, and he turns it back into Haaland. Haaland's shot well saved, comes back out into the middle of the 6-yard box, and Miles Lewis-Skelly getting in front of Nico O'Reilly and managing to get the ball clear. Foden's got it back again, onto Doku, down by the byline, in towards the near post, and it's over the top of the crossbar by Doku.
Brilliant defending by White there. He's thrown his body at that. Doku, as it's landed, has got, you would say, a simple task of rolling it in the net from about 7 yards out, and Ben White's thrown himself and got a brilliant block on that ball with his midriff.
Yeah, he has actually, hasn't he? And what about the challenge from Lewis-Skelly prior to that as well? When the ball came out from a really good parry, he just got there ahead of Nico O'Reilly.
I mentioned earlier, he's been tracking O'Reilly in the box brilliantly, and he's done exactly the same again. If he doesn't track him by half a yard, it's a goal.
Here is Anderson's corner into the near post. Arsenal getting away with a big towering header from the tall, slender figure of Kai Havertz, and then they almost pinch it through Ødegaard, but Kovacic is shooting from distance instead because he just wriggled away from the Norwegian, but it's a low daisy cutter which is easily stopped by David Raya. 4 minutes before half-time.
I'll tell you what we haven't mentioned, a couple of smart saves by Raya, by the way, down low. The difference between him and Donnarumma in this game, if you put a mirror on each other, Donnarumma's give his wicket away and in the first occasion, and made a poor effort at the second occasion.
Yeah, I mean, he is probably the best goalkeeper in the world, isn't he, David Raya? Here is Solis. He's just displayed that with that wonderful pass right through the middle of the pitch onto Solis, and then out towards the right with it's Madueke, who cuts in left-footed, tries to shoot, but that was ambitious, and it's stopped by Donnarumma. But I mean, that's just an example of why he is the best goalkeeper in the world, because he does make absolutely brilliant saves, but also he is impeccable with his feet.
Yeah, as I say, ticks a lot of boxes. Well, he's arguably the best in the world.
Arguably, there'll be an argument. There's always an argument.
Oh, he's not arguably. He's the best in the world.
There's an argument about it. This is Talk Sport.
Okay, there's no way he's the best in the world.
03717 223344. If you want to argue with anyone, why not do it with Alan Pardew and Majestic? They're back tonight from 6 o'clock, and we're looking forward to them returning. 2-0 to the Arsenal. And a good display so far. Talking of returning, McCoy's back tomorrow morning. White and Jordan, you know they've got with them tomorrow, White and Jordan from 10 o'clock, don't they?
Go on, who?
Martin Keown. He's going to love this.
Talking about arguments, Martin's on, is he?
Yeah. He's going to have one with himself again. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Looking forward to that. Here is Bruno Guimaraes nudging it forward, and Gvardiol leant into that. Looked like he led with his arm. Assistant on this near side says nothing about it. Referee allows play on. Arsenal come forward. They've switched off here, City, and Ben White's got round the back. Calafiori is arriving. He's got underneath it and sent it over the top of the crossbar on the volley from the edge of the 6-yard box. But Manchester City switched off and allowed Ben White to travel into the right wing position on the overlap, and that could have cost them dear.
They have absolutely ripping Manchester City apart, because Manchester City don't want to do the hard yards in tracking players, getting in their face, getting tight to people. They just want a game of slow build-up, and Arsenal are saying, well, I'm afraid we don't want to play to your intensity, we want to play to ours.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? And Solis is chasing a ball which is probably going to go loose, but he's showing his intensity and his desire to go and chase the loose ball, the lost cause over in the corner, and that endears him to the Arsenal fans, but also sets the tone for everybody else. Manchester City nowhere near up to that level at the moment, and they are miles behind. Arsenal lead by 2-0. Premier League All Access returns tomorrow morning. I'll be joined by Alex Crook and our new signing, Troy Deeney. Yes, Troy Deeney is back with TalkSport. Premier League All Access, wherever you get your podcast. Spotify, on Apple, the TalkSport app, wherever you want them. On YouTube as well. Premier League All Access. So we'll look forward to the season. Some quite interesting, spicy predictions for the season. Ready to be unleashed. We're looking forward to that. Every Thursday, and we'll be out every Monday morning as well. Sunday night, Monday morning, every single week for you on TalkSport, the TalkSport app, and the TalkSport YouTube channel. Here is the corner kick for Manchester City away to our left as they try to drag themselves back into this game. Anderson deep towards the far post, and it's caught by David Raya. He grabs it, and there was a bit of pushing on Gabriel, which Sam Barrett has spotted in the moment of the ball being sent into the box, and it's a free kick.
See, when players get booked for time wasting, which invariably will happen in every game, in this game late on, the referee has probably time wasted more than any player on the pitch so far by pulling back an offside when the goalie had it in his hands and could have played on at both ends of the pitch. I don't see why, and that's probably knocked a minute off the game straight away.
Can you book a referee for time wasting?
Let's have a new law show in the game.
I think you should be the arbiter of that.
There's 2 incidents there, you know. Another one, you're off, fella.
I was waiting to find out what was going to be this season's Pierce pet peeve. It might be time wasting by refs. You never know. Gabriel shrugs Foden to the floor, wins the ball back. Lewis Skelly spots Ødegaard, who almost managed to squeeze the ball between the two City centre-backs and into the path of Kai Havertz. They just about dealt with that Manchester City, and they are just about still in this game because Arsenal are threatening to run away with it and have been since the first few seconds of it. 1 minute of added time at the end of the first half. Arsenal lead by 2-0. There's space here for Havertz, 5 yards outside the box. It goes wide to Solis, and then Havertz again. It's spilt by Donnarumma. Ødegaard is there. He's dribbling towards goal, and it's cleared off the line by Gvardiol. It's still not clear. Gunnar Rice has got it. He clips it into the box. It's headed away by Kovacic. But Manchester City are off the pace, slow, and allowing Arsenal to pick them apart at will. And Donnarumma looks like he's had a dodgy lasagna.
Lasagna was lovely, I love you know, that we just had earlier. But you're right, Arsenal are at it, they're firing, the ball comes off the goalie, it's an Arsenal shirt getting the seconds, up the other end of the pitch, it's an Arsenal defender getting there, and that's the difference.
Well, there you are. Half-time, the Arsenal fans taunt Enzo Maresca at half-time with the chance of you're getting sacked in the morning. It's his first game in charge. It couldn't have gone any worse, really. 28 seconds on the clock when Riccardo Calafiori scored the opening goal of the season with a well-timed pass from Miles Lewis Skelly to set him up. Kai Havertz scored after 28 minutes after a crossfield ball by Ødegaard was headed back across the face of goal by new signing Christos Solis. There's been more intensity, there's been more craft, there's been more energy, there's been more enthusiasm and aggression shown by the champions of England in that first half. I have to tell you, Manchester City have been distinctly second best. At half-time at the Principality Stadium, it's Arsenal 2, Manchester City 0.
Sam, thank you very much. Yes, a very convincing first half performance there from Arsenal. Really setting their stall out early with that early goal as well. And Stuart Pearce, let's look over that first 45 minutes, shall we? Because, I mean, two managers going to go in. Mikel Arteta's just going to be full of praise for his side because they've done everything that you expect them to do. They've caused so many issues for Manchester City, whether in possession of the ball or not. What on earth is Enzo Maresca going to be saying right now to his team in comparison?
Well, firstly, I think because of the way Arsenal started and played in that half, I think when he gets his team in there, having been 2-0 up, he'll put one across their belt to keep that intensity.
Yes.
That's, you know, that reverse psychology.
Well, they've got Gabriel Heinze to do that. He'll fire them up.
Someone will. But
we saw that.
But the intensity of Arsenal has been magnificent. They have been so good in and out of possession. They've done everything correctly. I just seen the Coventry scout go home now, rip up the paperwork and say, Frank, we're in trouble on Friday, mate. But Maresca will be disappointed with the intensity of his team. From the first seconds, they have not matched the intensity of Arsenal, and they paid the price badly. They're lucky it's only 2-0. They've had the odd skirmish, credit to them up the other end. They haven't attacked quickly enough when they've had the opportunity to get players forward. And defensively, 25-30 yards out, I'm watching Arsenal players get on the ball and get their head up and play passes in the box at will, or pick passes through the defence at will, and you can't do that. You've got to do the dirty work if you're City now.
But you look at the two, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, talk about Arsenal, I mean, Ben White, I think, is having a terrific game because he's causing problems with his overlapping on this right-hand side. With Manchester City, it's slow, it's a bit ponderous, but anytime they break, they don't break in numbers either. It's very different in terms of the two performances we're seeing from these two sides.
Yeah, it is. There's no level of excitement. I'm sat here and I know when to get excited when the ball swings from one end to the other on the counter. When Arsenal get it, you think, hang on a minute, here we go. When City get it, you think Arsenal will get back in slot because you're building too slow and you're not getting enough bodies forward.
Going back to that early goal then for Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly, a player we talked about before the game kicked off, because reports and suggestions that maybe he has to look elsewhere to get regular game time. But crikey, just from that performance alone, and even that through ball that he played, you can look at him and think this is a talented young individual that can offer a lot more to this Arsenal team.
Without a doubt. I mean, I said before the game when you asked me the question about him, why would you let him leave Arsenal? I wouldn't. If he's come through our academy system and the fans adhere to him and that type of thing, why would you let him go? No need to do so. The bottom line is he's playing a super role in there, not just his through ball, a great assist for the goal, great ball, retained it, then played it through. 3 times now I've seen him, at least 3 times, when O'Reilly's gone into that advanced area and often gets final contact in the box, as we've seen many times. He's been next to him and he saved a goal when his goalkeeper's parried one out. It was Skelly that's cleared the ball. If you switch off 1 second there, O'Reilly rolls it into an empty net.
And of course we're seeing Bruno Guimaraes starting for Arsenal in this game. Christos Solis also had an assist for the Havertz goal as well. You mentioned both of those in terms of thinking, you said Solis might need a little bit of time to bed in.
On what I saw early on in those first minutes, he struggled to get past Kusanov, but I've got to say, as the game's gone on, he's grown into the game, as you've noticed and picking me up on, and rightly so, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's come into the game a little bit more, been a little bit cuter with his passing and movement, and I've got to say, I'm eating humble pie.
And you can do that. First game of the season, we're all feeling each other out, aren't we? We're all getting a sense for this game and what these two teams are going to be offering. Donnarumma has not exactly had the finest 45 minutes for Manchester City.
No, he's guessed the Calafiori effort and gone the wrong way too soon and literally give his wicket away. Poor goalkeeping. And for the second one, I've got to say, he's got his left hand on the ball, stops it going in the goal. If he doesn't get another touch on the ball, his right hand comes over the top and puts the ball in. I'm not sure whether that will get given as an own goal eventually, but awful goalkeeping for a goalkeeper of his standard.
I mean, they have brought in a goalkeeper, haven't they, in this summer window? Geronimo Rulli is the goalkeeper that they brought in, but they sold James Trafford. You yourself said, why have they sold James Trafford? Maybe questions could be asked of that now. You could argue, of course, it's still early in the season in the sense of there might be jitters. Better to get them out of the way than later down the season.
Listen, we got the 2 best goalkeepers in the league, arguably, in front of us here, okay, on this pitch at both end of the game. One of them's having a poor game, the other one's up to his normal standards in Raya, but he's got to get better than that. But the other side of that is I'm absolutely delighted that Trafford's gone and playing first team football with my England hat on.
You've always got to have your England hat on.
Always wear it.
I will pick you up on, did you say that Raya's the best in the world?
Arguably, but we want an argument, so I'm throwing it out there.
I'll give you the argument that Luis de la Fuente won't agree with you because he didn't play him at the World Cup. Unai Simon was preferred.
Yeah, good point. Raya's the best in the world. Say no more.
Imagine if they had played him. It would have been over by about June the 7th. Just gave everybody else a chance.
Just looking out there, Jack Grealish has obviously been sent out to warm up, which would be interesting to see him coming on, obviously having had a loan spell at Everton last season that was cut short due to injury, unfortunately, but he did make an impact at Everton. I know the Evertonians were quite happy with him. Unfortunately, as I say, injury caused him issues, but what an opportunity it could be for him to come on and be a game changer.
Well, you're going to have to change it with the intensity of play. If he does come on, I'm not sure he will come on. I think he's just warming up personally. Sometimes when you see one player out, I may be wrong, that might not be the case. I'm not seeing it. I don't think the intensity of his warm-up is there. That suggests to me it looks like somebody that just wants to go and jot the ball around, so don't think he's going to get a game today.
And potentially match fitness, just in terms of he's not ready yet, but he wants to just get out there, still keep himself keep the tempo up, I suppose, a little bit.
Use it as
after
a
that
training
injury.
session, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. OK, Stuart, for now, thank you very much. 4 o'clock, so kicking off just a couple of minutes on TalkSport 2. You'll be able to tune into Burnley against West Ham in the Championship. John Dunn, hello.
Hello, Natalie. The two teams have just entered the field here at a raucous Turf Moor. Two relegated sides from last season matched up on game 1 in the Championship as they look to kickstart immediate top flight returns. Both got off to winning starts in the Carabao Cup last weekend, although Burnley needed penalties to get beyond Notts County of League One. Manager Nicky Hyam makes one change from last week's 11. Max Alleyne has joined on loan from Manchester City. He comes straight into the starting 11, replacing Joe Worrell in defence. Hugo Ragabert is a summer recruit from Lille. He makes his league debut in midfield. Burnley have managed to hold on so far to last season's leading scorer Zian Fleming. He leads the line again today. West Ham also make one change. That's from the 3-1 cup win against Portsmouth. A debut for Manor Solomon. He signed this week from Spurs and was a title winner in the Championship whilst on loan with Leeds 2 seasons ago. He replaces Edson Alvarez. Arne Engels signed for a Championship record free from Celtic yesterday, but that's too late to be involved today. West Ham certainly need more bodies, but their big summer business was retaining the talents of Jared Bowen, who starts today. Teams out, kick-off not too far away. Commentary on TalkSport 2 from Turf Moor, Burnley and West Ham.
John, enjoy. There's more EFL action coming your way then across this weekend, and Cardiff return to the Championship with an all-Welsh affair against Wrexham tomorrow night, live on TalkSport 2 then at 8. We're going to hear from the Wrexham boss Phil Parkinson shortly, but first, the Cardiff manager Brian Barry Murphy is more than prepared for life in the second division.
A real hunger and appetite to improve on what we did last season, so we're under no illusions about how tough the game's going to be. But that's probably what makes it so exciting. Cardiff feels like the biggest club in the world to me. When I'm here, the energy from the supporters is incredible. And like I said, hopefully what you see on Monday is an atmosphere that befits the stadium and the club, and we'll try and do our part by producing a performance that gives us a chance to win.
When the fixture came out, everyone was instantly excited by it because Welsh derby, and just a great game for both clubs to start. Went down there last week, was able to go and watch them play, and got a nice welcome behind the scenes. Everyone was very friendly. Not sure they will be so much on Monday, but yeah, it'd be a great game.
Well, you can tune in to Cardiff against Wrexham then on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. Kicks off at 8 and you'll be in the company of Hugh Wozencroft, Nigel Adderley and the former Arsenal midfielder Adrian Clark. But here at the Principality Stadium, it is Arsenal 2, Manchester City 0 in Cardiff in the Community Shield. Will we see a comeback from Enzo Maresca's side in the second half? Will he have given his team a rollicking at half-time? We'll see what happens. The second half is coming next.
Welcome back to the Coral Fan Derby. They're all here. First up, the Badgered Blokes. Arms down, badges rested. Well deserved. Football Fashionistas next, putting that vintage away shirt back in the wardrobe. Last out, the Armchair Experts. Remote in hand, ready to sit this one out. They've all called a timeout with Coral's play break tool. Oh, what a decision! From play breaks to deposit limits and more. We're here for safer gambling. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus, gambleaware.org.
What you're hearing is real. The aliens have landed and they have something to say.
Take us to your dealer. Just 0.9% APR on every new Mini.
They just want to go to a Mini retailer.
Mini.
You heard them. Off we go. Make contact at your nearest retailer and get 0.9% APR representative across the entire range with a 25% deposit and 24-month term. Mini UK is a credit broker. Order by 30th September, delivered by 31st December. PCP with Mini Financial Services. Subject to status. T's and C's apply. mini.co.uk/offers.
Dream Team is the Suns fantasy football game, and it's back to make every moment matter this season. From clean sheets to cards, assists, and the all-important goals! Just pick a team that picks up points and you could win a top prize of £60,000. Download the free app to make every moment matter with the Sun Dream Team. T's and C's apply. 18 plus only.
With multiple markets on all of the action, Zackers and odds, whatever your passion. Build your own bet on a small local derby, and there's live in-play betting if you're late to the party. Sign up is easy on all your devices. Exclusive promotions and bet-boosted prices. In the no punters are sharing this tip. Get the king of the app pack. TalkSport Bet, it's a hit.
18 plus, gambleaware.org.
The FA Community Shield.
Arsenal versus Manchester City.
What a goal that is!
On TalkSport.
You'll intake so much football between now and the start of the Premier League season. You'll hardly be able to feel your face. Here is Calafiori getting in behind the back line, straight away being fed by Miles Lewis-Skelly, and scoring for Arsenal inside the first 30 seconds of the Community Shield. Ødegaard looks up, tries to curl it far post. Solis back across the face of goal. Havertz is there. Donnarumma can't keep it out, and Arsenal lead by 2-0.
That's a woeful goal to concede from Manchester City's point of view, I've got to say. But Arsenal won't worry about that.
The Arsenal fans doing the Posner.
Immediately after that second goal, hit the back of Donnarumma's net. Are you Tottenham in disguise, was the taunt they aimed at the Man City fans.
Yes, it's been a pretty decent first half for Arsenal here in the Community Shield then, as they lead Manchester City by 2-0. The Manchester City subs are out here warming up. Jack Grealish was out here. Looks like he's gone back in. We wonder what that means. Does that mean, Stuart Pearce, that he could have an involvement?
Well, Grealish was out warming up on his own, and the intensity was so slow about what he was doing. I thought he's just getting some fresh air. But unbelievably, I think one of the coaches has come out and running through the set play board, so I think he'll be coming on. What he does need to do is work to an intensity that's a bit higher than what I saw in the warm-up, if truth be known. Because I had a bigger sweat on up here than it looked as though he did down there.
But to be fair.
Exactly. So time will tell on that one. But I think we will see Grealish come on at half-time.
Well, they certainly need something, because it wasn't quite clicking in that first half for Manchester City. I mean, they're coming out now, Manchester City, so it'll be interesting to see if there are any changes to this lineup. But, I mean, why do you think it wasn't working so? Why was it not gelling for Manchester City as it was for Arsenal?
I think you've got to turn around and say, I think we're seeing Grealish come on.
Yeah.
You've got to give Arsenal credit. From the first second, from the kick-off, they went after Manchester City, got players in the box and sustained pressure and scored a goal on 27 seconds. And from that moment on, they put their foot on Manchester City's throat and didn't let them get up, to be quite honest with you. City's had the odd spell in the box of Arsenal's, but Arsenal showed, look, we can play good football going forward, but I tell you what, we pride ourselves on our defending as well, and they've showed all elements of the game, including intensity, and stifled City.
Arsenal 2 making their way out here then at the Principality Stadium. You've got to go back to May 2025 for the last time that Jack Grealish wore the blue of Manchester City, but he is preparing to come on then as both sets of players line up to go again for this second half. So let's hand you over to your commentary team for this one. Former England defender Stuart Pearce is alongside Sam Matface.
Well, maybe, just maybe, he thought that his days in Manchester City blue were numbered. But Jack Grealish is about to embark on the second 45 for Enzo Maresca. He's replaced Jeremy Doku. Injured at Everton in the second half of the season, missed pretty much most of the back end of it, but ready to go from the beginning of this. Change for Arsenal as well, and the return of Declan Rice, who comes in at half-time for Bruno Guimaraes, and that's obviously because they feel as if Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice need 45 minutes each today.
Yeah, sensible, I think, Sam. I think Guimaraes had a solid first half, no doubt about that. He'll be a massive asset to this football club, and Declan Rice needs to get up to speed again for the new season, irrelevant to what's gone on this summer.
Well, let's see what happens in the second half. A fast start from Arsenal at the start of the first 45. Can Manchester City respond here? They trail by 2-0. The goals from Calafiori in the first 30 seconds, and Kai Havertz, who's just been chopped down by Gvardiol, but the offside flag had already gone off, and that's the reason why no foul was given. Kai Havertz not happy about the treatment that he had administered to him. Elsewhere today, Watford beat Southampton by 2-1 in the Championship. Burnley against West Ham is just getting underway at Turf Moor. John Dunn is there for us, and it's live over on TalkSport 2. We'll keep you updated with what happens in that game in the Championship. In the Scottish League Cup, Hearts have beaten Inverness by 6-2. Hibernian have beaten Partick. Then Housemere against Motherwell has gone to extra time, and Motherwell really flying the flag for Scotland in Europe in midweek. And Rangers, who are up against it, Derek McKinney's up against it after what has been a very difficult start to his tenure, just underway at Ibrox against St Mirren. It's 0-0. Back here at the Principality Stadium in Wales, hazy white clouds masking the sunshine that has just peeked behind the stands here. Very much an Arsenal-centric Principality Stadium, packed with Arsenal red shirts all around us. Manchester City a little bit less represented, and also a little bit off the pace in that first 45 minutes, that is for sure. Ball sent up towards halfway by Donnarumma, and then picked off by Mosquera, who then runs into Mateo Kovacic. The ball spills into Manchester City's possession, just short of the halfway line, and it goes back to Guardiola. On for the two teams for you in just a second, but Declan Rice is intercepted, headed the ball forward. Anderson's trying to get hold of it, and those two teammates in the summer with England, but again Manchester City second to it. Arsenal pinch it inside opposition territory, and across comes Solis. Solis, edge of the area, feeds it into Ødegaard. Great touch, chance to make it 3, easily strokes it into the net. It's a wonderful Arsenal move, and again it came about because of a turnover of intensity. The captain takes the acclaim. Enzo Maresca's team are being blown away in Cardiff, and Arsenal are making a statement. They lead by 3-0.
They certainly are. They're first to the ball, they want the ball, they're more aggressive, and all of a sudden the ball hits the back of the net, falls to Ødegaard, and his composure. Donnarumma says, OK, I'm just going to fall over and do what you want with me, you know, and it's exactly what he did. You can't give Arsenal players that much room. They have big numbers in the box. Donnarumma's tried to read him, threw himself to the floor again, and great finish by Ødegaard.
Well, last year they were the So Solid crew. They hardly conceded any goals. This year they might be the So Solis crew. That's another assist for the Greek.
Yeah, ever since I wrote him off on 11 minutes, he's been outstanding. And for Arsenal's point of view, long may that continue.
Well, Erling Haaland looks forlorn. I mean, Enzo Maresca, it couldn't have gone any worse, really. 3-0 the scoreline. We've only played 3 minutes of the second half, and Arsenal are running riot. And they are the champions, and they're not shy about telling anybody that. And when they've turned up to Community Shields in the past, they've often been there as the bridesmaid, really. But they have strutted into South Wales, chest puffed out, determined to show everybody why they were the champions last year. And boy, have they done that so far. 3-0 the score. Manchester City miles off it. Here is Elliot Anderson trying to strike from the edge of the area, and he wildly kicks it over the top of the crossbar. Let's go off to Turf Moor. John Dunn.
10 minutes gone, Burnley 0, West Ham 1, their first attack of the game. A corner from Jarrod Bowen, turned in via the head of Max Kilman. His first ever West Ham goal on the opening day of the Championship season. Burnley 0, West Ham 1.
Max Kilman with the goal. Back in the fold for Nuno Espirito Santo at the beginning of the season. Jarrod Bowen. It's probably a bit of a cheat code in the Championship, isn't he, Jarrod Bowen?
Listen, you've always got a plan there. And I remember a few years ago I dipped to play in the Championship. I was the England captain, so if you think you're too good for that division, it'll eat you up, I can assure you.
Indeed. And if you want to follow that game in particular, Burnley against West Ham, it is over on TalkSport 2. If you haven't managed to dip yourself to TalkSport 2 so far, you can get it via our app, flick between the two stations, and you'll be able to tune into all of our great EFL commentaries. I was talking to Ian Danta on Friday on our Friday show on TalkSport, as there is yet another stoppage here. Sam Barrett just having a word with Mateo Kovacic. Did he try to take the free kick too quickly there?
Well, they had possession of the ball, City, and then he stopped the game to give a free kick, and then he's rewound the game as well to stop the ball being taken too quickly. 3 occasions now. I can't tolerate another one. I'm going down on pitch side to tell him.
OK. Pearce's pet peeve for 26-27 will be time wasting by referees. And he's done it 3 times, Sam Barrett. This is not something that Stuart is happy about. Certainly Rangers fans slightly happier now than they were 6 minutes ago. They lead by a goal to nil. Nadiri, after just 9 minutes, has put them in front against St Mirren. It's 3-0 to Arsenal here in the Community Shield as the sun peeks out from behind the clouds once again here at this impressive 3-tiered stadium. 2 big raking tiers away to our left-hand side. It's 3 tiers all the rest of the ground. And the Manchester City fans stunned by what their team have produced so far. Semenyo trying to respond. Down the right, low ball into the box. O'Reilly tries to flick it on. Ødegaard guides it back. And then Raya will clear upfield down towards the right-hand side. Gvardiol heads it into Kovacic. Kovacic moves it forward. He runs into the dead centre of the Arsenal half and feeds Kusanov. I did say I was going to run through the 11s for you, but rather interrupted by an Ødegaard goal. So I'll do that in just a sec. Here is Gvardiol again, out towards the left. Manchester City in light blue, which fades into white. The white of their shorts. Grealish cuts infield, gets a bump for his troubles off Madueke. And then the ball, again, slow build-up for Manchester City in the congested middle of the park. Pinched by Gabriel, superb, lovely reverse by Ødegaard. Havertz is crunched by Gvardiol to stop him in his tracks. They could have played on there, they didn't. The referee gets a yellow card and gives it to Gvardiol. So this is the Arsenal team. It's Raya in goal, Ben White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Calafiori the back 4. Rice has come into midfield alongside Miles Lewis-Skelly. Noni Madueke, Martin Ødegaard and Solis behind Havertz. And then in blue for Manchester City, Donnarumma, who hasn't had the best of afternoons. Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol's been booked and O'Reilly. Kovacic and Anderson in the middle of the park. Semenyo, Foden and now Grealish, who replaced Doku at half-time. Haaland leading the line, although Haaland has just been taken off and he is going to be replaced by Omar Marmoush. On comes Mark Gay for, I think it's O'Reilly who came off.
It is O'Reilly.
So I think there's going to be a little bit of a swapsies around at the back because Gvardiol will go to left back. And so 2 changes for Manchester City as we reach the 54th minute of the game. So that back 4 now, Kusanov, Diaz, Gay and Gvardiol. And Marmoush leading the line for Manchester City team, who haven't really troubled David Raya that much, really. He's made a couple of smart saves from distance and a couple of efforts that he's had to save in a congested penalty area, but Manchester City, so known for their relentless attacking and abilities to pin teams back, have been very much on the back foot from the minute we kicked off here at the Principality Stadium. Stuart Pearce, I mean, you can't read too much into pre-season, but you can read a little bit into this, can't you? Because of the quality of the performance.
Oh, you certainly can. From Arsenal's point of view, they've been absolutely magnificent from the first second. Literally from the first second. Every element of their game's been spot on. They've won the Premier League last year, and the fans are thinking, can we retain it? Can we put performances on to sort of
Grealish
wow fans?
On the turn on the edge of the penalty area, trying to get away from 4 Arsenal bodies. Impossible. Anderson is down inside the Arsenal half because he was whacked by Miles Lewis-Skelly, so he's decided to whack Ødegaard instead. He then gets pulled up by Sam Barrett. Phil Foden goes across to Sam Barrett and starts to have a discussion with him. He's really supposed to do that, Phil Foden. I know he's part of the leadership group now, but the captain is the one who's supposed to speak to the referee. The free kick has gone Arsenal's way and they build up on halfway. Up to Solis, into Calafiori. Anderson again gets involved and wins the ball back. Now Marmoush turns and runs and Foden to his right sprints towards the edge of the area. It's taken on by Grealish. Grealish cuts infield, tries to look and feed the ball into the former England international Foden. Back to Anderson, who clips it and doesn't get underneath it. He tried to just sort of almost pitching wedge that over the top of David Raya. He was never going to be caught out by that. It remains 3-0, 10 minutes gone on TalkSport with Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce at the Principality Stadium on this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, just looking at Anderson's ball in there, he's limping a bit now. He got caught by Calafiori, I think it was.
Lewis Skelly, actually.
Lewis Skelly, sorry. And that's what Foden was frustrated about earlier. It was quite a bad one, actually. Caught him right on the ankle, and he's still flexing it at the moment.
Well, that's the last thing you want when you come to a new club as well, is to start off on the back foot. Good turn by Miles Lewis Skelly in the centre of the park. I mean, there's been some good performances. There's been some standout performances. There's been some headline makers. But I think he walks away with the biggest cheer today, Miles Lewis Skelly. I think his performance in midfield has been nothing short of superb. He made the opening goal. And when all the headlines around you are people talking about you possibly leaving and you produce something like this, then the noise goes quiet very quickly. Here's Havertz charging down the left. Even that, your price goes up significantly. The Arsenal fans are olaying and cheering because their team are dominating every aspect of the game. Havertz with a little challenge from behind on Foden. Foden complains. Sam Barrett once again gives the free kick, tells Foden to keep the noise down. And we're back underway. 57 minutes gone on TalkSport. With Ali McCoist back on breakfast tomorrow from 6 a.m. Jim White, Simon Jordan back together from 10, and they've got Martin Keown. I don't think he will be arguing with anyone tomorrow. Here's Gvardiol into Foden. Oh, he miskicks it, edge of the area, and that allows Calafiori to get it back to his goalkeeper. Solis picks up the ball by the touchline. It might just have gone out of play, and it's away for a throw-in.
Yeah, I'm not sure that did go out, but who am I to argue? I've not got the best viewpoint. Yeah, I think Martin will be in a particularly good move tomorrow, so if you do see him, ask him if I can borrow him a tenner off him. You never know.
I don't think I want to see him tomorrow, to be honest with you. He's going to be too happy. I like it when he's a bit spicy.
Yeah, you know where you stand.
Yeah. Well, you don't know where you stand. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, he's beautiful for it. I remember when I was playing for West Ham once, and he grabbed me by the throat at a corner and throttled me. You know, he was at his happiest that day. He really was. We laugh about it now, though, Martin, don't we?
It's Anderson out on this near side. Ball given to Semenyo. Semenyo drags the ball back and gives it infield. He sends it towards the halfway line, then on to Ruben Dias. He's actually a very funny man, Martin, very intelligent man, very nice man. He, despite the exterior, the hard exterior. Here is Grealish over on the far side, trying to turn away from Madueke. Ben White shuffles him wider. Ryan Cherky about to come on for Manchester City. Here is Foden. Foden looking up, looking for a bit of movement. Arsenal feel maybe as if their job has been done. They lead by 3-0 in the Community Shield, and it's not been a stroll. They've worked for it. They've put Manchester City under real pressure. City of wilted. Ball in by Grealish, flicked into the air by Gvardiol. It looks as if it took a deflection. The referee says no, it goes out for a corner, away to our right-hand side. Arsenal 3, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, big movement from the benches now. Both teams dipping into the bench. They'll be using this as a fitness exercise now. I think the results certainly beyond City.
Well, Foden is coming off and Cherky is coming on. It looks like Anderson might well come off to be replaced by Rico. Is that Rico Lewis over on the far side? I think it is, and I think he's had a new hairdo, Stu. Do you like that? He's dyed his hair bright blonde.
You know what? I've been looking at him for the last 50 minutes and I did not have a clue who that was. I really did. I thought it was Savinio or someone of that nature.
The other changes that have taken place in the last few minutes, Calafiori has come off and on comes Piero Hincapié. Madueke has gone off and Bukayo Saka, the star boy, has come on. So they are the changes. Talking of people who have changed their hairstyle in the close season, he's had blonde locks as well. Here's John Dunn.
Burnley 0, West Ham 1, 20 minutes gone. Thanks for the compliment, Sam. The goal after 10 minutes, Max Kilman heading home a Jared Bowen corner. His first goal after 67 games without a goal for West Ham. Other than that, it's been all Burnley. Jakob Brun-Larsen after 40 seconds, a cross steered over the bar by Zian Fleming. Aaron Ramsey has been wasteful. 2 efforts from the edge of the area, one just wide of the right post, just the second one just wide of the left post. 21 gone. Burnley 0, West Ham 1.
John Dunn, one of our reporters that guide us through what is a magnificent football season. And I tell you what, you don't get anything better than a Saturday afternoon with our team of reporters, by the way. Up and down the land, steered by Adrian Durham, 2:30 every single Saturday, around the grounds with a faster goal service than anybody else. That's live TalkSport. Next Saturday, it was back underway 2 weeks ago for the League Cup. I was texting Adrian on my way to Salford City, and it was a brilliant show as always. It ramped up yesterday with the start of the EFL season, but it gets into full swing next Saturday from 2:30 on TalkSport, the TalkSport app. We'll make sure that you are fully furnished. Ball picked up by Gay over on the left-hand side. That West Ham game, by the way, over on TalkSport 2, and West Ham on TalkSport 2 on Saturday as well at 3 o'clock when they take on Charlton. Flicked by Cherky, out to the right. It's Lewis who sends it on towards the right-hand side for Semenyo. Semenyo gets to the edge of the area, tries to come in past Solis. Solis nabs it. Erdegaard away, Havertz, Solis, and then on to Nkapie, and Manchester City again get to the edge of the area, Stuart, and actually the attack runs aground, I think was the word you said earlier on.
Yeah, indeed, and it did on that occasion with Semenyo. He cut inside, he didn't do it dynamically enough, and the defenders just towed it away from him.
What do you make of the way that Manchester City build up? Because when they do build up, because one of the fullbacks always comes into a central area, it's almost like a 3-2-2-3, isn't it? They build up through the middle, they try to get the ball out wide, but the wingers haven't really been able to fire today, have they? Why is that?
They've just not had the beating of their defenders, and the wide players have done well for Arsenal and doubled up.
Erdegaard snaps in, sends the ball wide towards the right. It's a foot race between Gvardiol and Saka. Saka gets there, beats him, pushes him to the ground. Saka to try and finish it in at the near post. He hits the side netting when there were four actually joining further into the box. And actually, Bukayo Saka may well look back on that and think that was a wasted opportunity to make it four.
No doubt about that, it certainly was. Odegaard's done brilliantly there, turned away from Rico Lewis, and his switch of play was brilliant. Chase was on then. Saka's done well physically, but he should have found a pass.
Well, I don't think he felt as if he had got enough minutes in the World Cup, Bukayo Saka, and he is determined to prove that he was up to full fitness, and he's back to full fitness, because there's no doubt at the end of last season there was concerns over that aspect of his game. But he looks stronger, doesn't he? He looks broader and even a little bit taller, Bukayo Saka, over on that far side. And again, another one with a slightly different haircut going into the new season. Here is Cherky fending the ball forward into the path of Gvardiol, and it's picked up by Raya. What is he laughing at down there, the Cookmeister, as Havertz tries to get beyond Ruben Diaz and then ends up crumpling in a heap as the two come to a bit of a collision on the edge of the penalty area. And there has been another goal for Rangers. Derek McInnes a lot happier than he was. Dragovic scoring after 18 minutes as Rangers 2, St Mirren 0 in the Scottish League Cup. We'll go down to the touchline very shortly and find out what one of the Truckle brothers is going on about. You all right down there?
Yeah, I was just thinking, if Bukayo Saka's grown over the summer, there's maybe a little bit of hope for you yet.
That's your contribution to the second half, is it?
You won't be going back to the Crookmeister, will you, again?
Crikey. 64 on the clock. Ball towards the far post. Semenyo across the face of goal, chested down by Gabriel, and it's cleared away. Semenyo into Rico Lewis. Semenyo tries to take it down towards the right touchline, and then he doesn't quite get hold of it. It's away by Arsenal, and it's out on this near side. I mean, it has been pretty woeful, really, from Manchester City throughout the course of the game. And I think we've got work to do.
I've just got my eyes on Crookie down there behind the goal, and he's just shown me his T-shirt he's wearing. It says, "Is Sam Matterface Jimmy Cranky?" Unbelievable, the cheek of him.
You know who started all that? That's Alan Brazil's fault, that is.
Really?
It's Brazil's fault. The worst thing about that is, you know, I've obviously been very kind to Alan in the last couple of months, because he's been going through a bit of a problem. But actually, when I saw him on slightly. He stood up. He's actually smaller than me, by the way. Anyway, little Sam will be back with Big Crookie and Gabiak Bonlahor this Friday, 10 till 1. Looking forward to that as well. Me and Crookie have got quite a lot of deployments together. In fact, some people are suggesting that maybe it might be better if we just move in together. Might be on the agenda. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a very disappointing second half from Manchester City. Arsenal keeping them at arm's length, and they're not entirely ready to slacken off yet. Again, Saka, who's come off the bench, just causing Guardiola a few problems. There's a bit of a gap here for Gay to bring the ball through the middle of the pitch and up through the centre circle. Out it goes to Cherki. Cherki just right of the centre circle towards this near side, but Arsenal again just making sure that there's not much room for City to play in. They congesting the middle of the park now and win the ball back very quickly as Cherki tries to thread it through the middle. Rice grabs it, Ødegaard takes over, then Lewis Skelly, and then he goes down under pressure from Cherki and wins the free kick. They look more well-oiled, they look better committed, they look more experienced, don't they? And you know what, sometimes in Premier League eras the pendulum swings, and it felt like for a long time the pendulum was Manchester City's, and all of a sudden now after that victory in last season's title race, maybe the Arsenal era is about to take hold.
Well, and if this game and this performance in a game that people think doesn't massively matter, they're so mistaken. They really are. This performance in every element by Arsenal has been outstanding.
Really has. I'll tell you who'll be feeling quite good today, by the way. Bournemouth. They play Manchester City next Sunday. They feel that they've got quite a strong squad, actually. I know they've got a European campaign to get on with as well. New deployment for Marco Rosa, who's in charge there. And I think the reason why I say so, maybe casually, that it could be the Arsenal era is because of all the changes in the Premier League. More new top-flight managers than at any time since 1946-47, and there had been a war prior to that one.
The turnover of managers has been absolutely amazing. It really has, you know, and we've lost. I don't like losing the personalities out of the Premier League, you know. Klopp no longer in the league, Pep no longer in the league.
First season ever in the Premier League history without Klopp, Guardiola, Mourinho, Wenger or Ferguson. Probably the five big beasts that define the era.
Yeah, indeed.
Someone's got to step up. Raya under pressure, plays it to Gabriel, clips it around Semenyo, kept him just about by Nkapie, and then he stops it from going for a corner. A bit of pressure from Manchester City, pressurising Arsenal. They almost forced them into an error, but it didn't really. And then Rico Lewis is doing his shoelaces up as the ball's thrown in towards his direction. It goes across from Diaz to Gay. Gay strides forward. It's left by Gvardiol and picked up by Jack Grealish. 68 on the clock, 3-0 on TalkSport to Arsenal. And here is Mark Gay once again, striding forward, looking for Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis tried to dart into the centre of the penalty area, but then checked his run and came back again. Grealish nudges it centrally, collected by Mateo Kovacic, picked up by Kusanov. Kusanov into Kovacic. Kovacic runs into the middle of the park. Again, Arsenal very good at just dropping back in, and the gaps between the midfield and the defence are so tight, it's impossible for City to find room. They're just so well drilled, well choreographed, and now as they spring out of shape to try and win the ball back, there is a bit of room for Cherki, who works it out the outside, and then it's given away by Semenyo sloppily. Ødegaard gets hold of it. Solis, who's had a good first showing in Arsenal jersey, runs up on this left-hand side, draws the foul, free kick Arsenal. 70 gone, Arsenal 3, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, and as I say, if you're in Arsenal's position now, you're 3-0 up in this game, it would be easy for them to drop off the standard of their defensive work, but they've not done that. Every player is back behind the ball when they're out of possession. It's very, very impressive.
And they need a bit of more investment, it looks like, Manchester City, which is quite something to say, isn't it, bearing in mind the amount they've spent over the last few transfer windows. But with Tiani Reinders pretty much on his way to Al Qadsiya, Bernardo Silva gone to Real Madrid, Rodri going off to Barcelona. I mean, they've only signed Elliot Anderson for that sort of area of the field. There might be some work to do between now and the deadline. Here is Saka out on the right-hand side. Vardiol tries to hold him up but can't. Solis takes over inside the area in the inside right channel. It's back to the captain, the Norwegian Ødegaard. A little reverse ball into Ben White. They're queuing up in the centre. Solis couldn't pull the trigger. It came through to Miles Lewis Skelly. Oh, it's a poor clearance that's given it back to him, and eventually the offside flag has gone up.
Well, every time that ball goes in and around Manchester City's box, they look a yard short, not staying with runners. And Arsenal just playing through them. They just got, well, it was quite a way offside. Good defending, you've got to turn around and say they did hold the line particularly well, and the offside trap has managed to get them out of trouble.
Down to the touchline, TalkSport's Alex Crook.
There's going to be another change here for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has just summoned back Victor Gyökeres to get stripped ready for action. I do wonder, do we expect Gyökeres to start next weekend against his old club Coventry, or will Mikel Arteta be tempted to stick with Kai Havertz based on what we've seen this afternoon?
Crikey, even some of those that have come back from international duty, Saka, Rice, Zubimendi and the like, will be thinking to themselves, how do we get into the team that started this game after what was a terrific start to the match? And that's what he wants. He wants competition for places, and there's certainly that at Arsenal, there's no doubt about it. 20 minutes to go, 3-0 they lead here. Gyökeres about to come on. Maybe they're bringing him on because they think there might be some goals in it here for him, Stuart.
See, what you want a situation where, as a manager, it doesn't matter which one of the 22 players that you pick. All you want is a result on 90 minutes, and I think Arsenal are getting close to that. You know, it doesn't matter whether Havertz or Gyökeres start at the front end of their team. They know that one's going to come off the bench at some stage, and hopefully
brilliant by Havertz, who clips the ball into Solis. Solis looking for Saka, who couldn't take it into his stride. He tries to get the better of Donnarumma as the ball runs towards the edge of the area. Donnarumma just about fends the ball, swipes it away with his big right hand after Vardiol had sort of nudged it in his direction. But the way he leapt there, Havertz, and just glanced it into Solis down this near side, I mean, it was a perfect almost example of what you're talking about. You can switch those two players out. They've got different qualities, but they're always going to perform at a level which makes Arsenal competitive.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, and that's what they'll be looking for. Pre-game we thought, do Arsenal need that out-and-out to get X amount of goals? Well, probably Havertz has proved me wrong slightly again with his performance today.
Well, I wonder, Stuart, whether or not actually there's a bit of this performance that Mikel Arteta won't be happy about. The fact that it has been so impressive against the top team, that maybe, you know, when he sat in front of the press and suggested that they still needed this, they still needed that, they wanted this, they wanted that, that actually the powers that be might not release the purse strings, having watched this, saying we don't need to.
Yeah, every now and then you need a bad performance potentially. I mean, when I was Man City manager, we delivered. Shot
by Cherki, saved by Raya down to his left. He parries it out towards the right-hand side. It was from distance well out, 30 yards, but Raya had to make the save. And then it comes back out towards this near side, and it's cleared towards the halfway line. Stuart, finish the story.
Yeah, basically, you know, you're saying that maybe this poor performance or good performance by Arsenal will send a message to the boardroom that says we don't need help. I was part of a lot of poor performances as Manchester City manager that sent a message to the boardroom that fell on deaf ears and never spent a penny.
Enzo Maresca actually about to be the first Manchester City manager in 21 years to lose his opening game as City boss, which is not great for him. A slightly different time as well to 2 decades ago. Much more investment and a much stronger squad. And we were saying earlier, it's no one wants to follow geniuses, but if you're going to follow Pep Guardiola and inherit a squad like this, you're not going to turn it down. It's a great opportunity.
And you'll start to, things will go through your mind now. How much were this squad being driven and got that extra 10% out by Pep? You ask yourself that question now, because there's not the intensity in this performance by City. And on the back of that, they're losing 3-0.
I mean, you also have to factor in, as the ball just gets popped around in midfield and there's a foul on Lewis Skelly by Rico Lewis, there's going to be a couple of changes for Arsenal here, and I think we're going to see the end of Kai Havertz and possibly the end of Miles Lewis Skelly here. It's definitely Havertz who's coming off, and on comes Victor Gyökeres. That's the first change, and I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is taking the applause as well, and that's a big roar as he gets replaced by Martin Zubamendi. I think we probably have to sort of suggest that, you know, going back in time, this fixture doesn't really usually tell us anything. You know, nobody's won the Community Shield and gone on to win the Premier League since 2018. 8 winners in 34 years of the Premier League era, none in the last 8. I mean, it's almost like this game sort of tells you who's not going to win the championship. I mean, obviously that's going to change at some stage, but I don't think that what it does tell you, it tells you about flaws. This afternoon probably likely to just shine a light on some of those fragilities that maybe we didn't realise were in the Manchester City ranks, something that they've got to address before the start of the season. Gay moving up towards the edge of the area, shifting it on, finding Kovacic. Now on to Semenyo. Semenyo, a little step over by Cherki, no one there to gobble it up, and it goes straight through to David Raya, and he immediately looks forward, and you can see he was sort of hunting to see where Gyökeres was. Was he going to go quickly on the dart? That's the other thing they're great at doing, mixing up the tactics. They'll play out from the back as they are now, but occasionally they will go long. They're happy to go long, up to a striker or a midfield player who's made a run from deep.
Well, as we saw with that ball from the goalkeeper to Havertz earlier, which was absolutely sensational.
Kovacic being hounded by Nkapie, being forced all the way back into his own half by the pressure from Nkapie. He went to the World Cup with Ecuador. Sent off as Ecuador went out to Mexico in the last third or two. Here is Cherki, just left of the centre circle. Nico Gonzalez looks as if he's going to come on for Manchester City, warming up on the touchline away over on the far side. Back it goes to Cherki. Cherki with 13 minutes to go, plays the ball infield to Ruben Diaz, back into Gay over on the far side. And it's picked up by Jack Grealish. And Grealish hasn't really, a bit like the rest of the Manchester City players, been able to get any rhythm in the game. Gay fighting his way through a knot of red shirts. It's helped on by Cherki to Semenyo. Good run by Lewis. And there's been an infraction inside the penalty area, and Josko Vardiol has gone down inside the box. And I wonder if the VAR is looking at that. There is an offside flag that's gone up, but certainly Sam Barrett just holding proceedings here, because at the far post there was just a little nudge. Was that Ben White on Josko Vardiol at the far post? It was nothing more than a nudge, was it?
No, shoulder to shoulder. I think it's going to be a tough call to give a penalty that far away from where the actual ball was.
Well, the feeling from the VAR, James Bell, is that there was shoulder to shoulder contact between the defender and the attacking player, and the attacking player, Josko Vardiol, made the most of it.
Yeah, fair assessment.
Off to Turf Moor, TalkSport's John Dunn.
Approaching the final 5 minutes of normal time in this first half. Burnley 0, West Ham won the goal after 10 minutes. A header from Matt Kilman from a Jared Bowen corner. West Ham, long spells of possession, not created too many chances. Burnley have had a host of chances. Aaron Ramsey, wasteful from the edge of the area with 2 efforts. Did get 1 on target. Comfortable save for Mads Hermansen. And Zian Fleming from the edge of the D. A shot after he held off his man that was fired just wide. Burnley 0, West Ham 1. Commentary on TalkSport 2.
TalkSport 2 available on the TalkSport app. Also your smart speaker, just say play TalkSport 2. Change for Manchester City, and off goes Mateo Kovacic, and he is replaced by Nico Gonzalez. And he just played a ball out of play, straight out of play from the base of the centre circle, and it was well awry. And he goes off and takes his seat in the dugout with Manchester City heading back up the motorway network to Manchester with a towel between their legs very shortly. They'll have to get much better before they take on Bournemouth on Sunday afternoon, a game we'll cover on Game Day Live as Crookie and I bring you all the action from St James's Park next Sunday at 1:30. The football season starting in earnest. We'll all be up to speed by next weekend and ready to go. Manchester City will hope they are as well, and so will Newcastle, who were beaten yesterday by Bayer Leverkusen. Here is Erdogan. Infield it goes to Rice. Rice just in front of Semenyo, who hasn't looked at his best. Played wide to the left, where it's taken on by Nkapie. Fires the ball in. It's hit by Saka. It's over the bar. Well, what an opportunity for a fourth, and he might think again that he should have had a goal, Bukayo Saka, because as that was fired into him by Nkapie, he leathered that towards the middle of the Donnarumma net. It just was a little bit too high and went firing over the top of the crossbar from Saka.
I've got to say, if I was critical, Sam, I would say he really should be finishing that. His movement was good, freed himself up. Poor defending, poor defensive movement, and it should have been 4.
After a few more minutes in the bank, he probably would have done, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, you would like to think so. Can we go over to Crookie again, see if he's got anything for us? Because I know you're going to take a battering if we do.
No, I've used all my small jibes, honestly. It's a bit unfair. I was just thinking what you were saying there about this not really being a barometer. This performance from Manchester City reminds me of when Arsenal themselves beat United 3-0 at Wembley. Jaap Stam's debut. United went on to win the treble.
Here is Cherki inside the penalty area, down the right-hand side. A little reverse ball into Semenyo's shot is brilliantly saved by David Raya, who drops down to his right and with a strong wrist and big palm manages to fend the ball out for a throw-in over on the far side. It was a fierce effort from inside the box, and it's a brilliant save.
Well, that is, I mean, it's gone through the defender's legs, so the goalkeeper can't see it. He can only see it late. He's got down and got a really strong palm to it. Wonderful save.
What a stop from David Raya. And again, that's another major asset for this team. And when you look back over the course of the season, you know, the defensive numbers were brilliant for Arsenal, but he, of course, won the Golden Glove, and he was worth winning that trophy because he absolutely saved them in matches, and he's stopped a certain goal there, David Raya. Actually, do you know, I mean, obviously Crookie had to get Manchester United in.
Shoehorned it.
Oh, by the way, but the first time we went to him at just after 2 o'clock, it took him 17 seconds to say the words Manchester United. But anyway, it reminds me a little bit, actually, you know, not reminds me because it's a different performance, but I wonder whether or not the same indication that we should have got from the Community Shield last year about Liverpool is what we should be taking from this about Manchester City, that they might not be ready to go again. Liverpool obviously fell off in the title race last year after winning the title the year before. There were mitigating circumstances for that, but Manchester City, with all the change that's gone on there and a little bit of an incoherent performance today, I just wonder whether or not they are going to be ready to be able to challenge.
Well, it's the big variable for me is no Guardiola at the helm, and that would really worry me as a City fan. That would be a real concern. Has he driven the intensity of this football club for so long that without him there's a big gap?
Well, that was always going to be the case, that there was going to be a big gap, but it's whether or not that big gap can be filled, and that's good, you know, going to be very, very difficult, and Enzo Maresca will know that. And he doesn't give as much as Pep Guardiola does on the touchline. He's not as demonstrative or as energetic or anywhere near as charismatic. He doesn't bounce up and down. And Pep Guardiola certainly burnt off a lot of calories on the touchline. I think he'll be a little bit more anxious than Pep Guardiola, the way things are going. A loose ball given away by Ødegaard. Then he stretches and gives away a free kick, and it was a bit of a late challenge on Jack Grealish, so that's going to be a yellow card, I think, for the Arsenal captain.
Yeah, poor challenge. A little bit late there. Grealish just manipulated the ball quick enough to do Ødegaard. And that's his last contribution, Ødegaard.
Well, he's come up with a goal as well today, Martin Ødegaard. One of 3 that Arsenal have scored. He did brilliantly to sort of feint before slipping the ball past a stranded Donnarumma for Arsenal's 3rd and the clinching goal in this Community Shield, which will see Arsenal victorious once again. Another victory for Mikel Arteta. And questions that will be asked all surround Manchester City. It's a difficult one. Is this just a team that's simply through halfway through pre-season, or is this a team that's going to have a problem when we get to November, December? It's a question that will be asked after this game of Enzo Maresca, who is taking the reins of Manchester City for the first time. They won't panic yet. It is only the Community Shield. It is only the first game of the season. But they'll have to smarten up quickly. 5 minutes to go before the end of the Community Shield on TalkSport. Live here at the Principality Stadium. Semenyo tiptoes towards the edge of the area. His cross is blocked easily by Nkapie. And remember, Arsenal have made a load of substitutions as well in this second half, and arguably the team's looked even stronger. Eze has come on for Martin Ødegaard. And again, that just shows the depth of talent that Arsenal have in there. Well, back to Gay once again. Gay chips the ball towards the far post, looking for Semenyo, who can't control, runs off the inside of his boot, drifts behind, and it's out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. We'll have all the post-match interviews very shortly. I wonder what kind of post-match interview we're going to get with Enzo Maresca today, Stuart. How would you handle it?
Well, you've probably just got to play down, play the pre-season card. Players needing fitness. I think you've got to go like that, but you've also got to give an element of clarity that you've come up against a team that were far better than you. Physically, technically, and tactically in many ways.
Half-time in the game at Turf Moor. John Dunn.
Burnley 0, West Ham 1. That goal on 10 minutes. Max Kilman's first for the Hammers after 3 seasons with them. Heading home a Jared Bowen corner. Burnley have had all the chances within 40 seconds. Ian Fleming had prodded one onto the roof of the net. Aaron Ramsey wasteful from the edge of the area. One on target was saved by Hermansen. Fleming before the break with a shot just wide. Burnley 0, West Ham 1.
Thank you very much, John Dunn. And the second half of that game is live over on TalkSport 2. Here, Arsenal lead Manchester City by 3 goals to 0. They've just won a free kick, Manchester City, here. It's about 9 yards short of the penalty area. It's right of centre, and Ryan Cherki is going to take it. He places the ball down. He looks up. I think he'll be disappointed that he didn't get to start. Obviously, he was with France till very late in the day. So I think going forward, he might well be trying to push himself into that number 10 position more often, which is not great news for Phil Foden. Ball into the area, it's poor though, and it's headed away by Declan Rice. 3 minutes to go. Here is Semenyo. I mean, it has had a bit more spice to it. I mean, it's not quite 1974 Kevin Keegan and Billy Bremner, but it has been a bit spicier today, hasn't it?
Yeah, from a sort of tackle scenario, not so much, certainly not compared to yesteryear, but from the intensity that they put in, and especially Arsenal, I think it's been a good game, I really do. Yeah. It gives us a really good insight into two teams that we think are going to be favourites for the Premier League. I think we could take a lot out of this game.
Ball on the near touchline, taken in by Kusanov, a reverse by Rico Lewis, and then he's dispossessed, and it's with Rice, who shrugged off the ball by the Uzbekistan international Kusanov, who feeds it infield, gives it to Cherki, on to Gvardiol, back to the left, and then Grealish can't get his cross in because Ben White has blocked it. And then Saka goes over to the far side, puts him under pressure, he slips on the top of the ball, Jack Grealish, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. What have you made of Jack Grealish's performance?
I think he looks way off, if I'm being quite honest with you. He looks like a player who's not played for months, and that's exactly what's happened. So I think he needs the minutes, he's desperate for the minutes, and it might take him a month to get in the swing of things, you know. I don't know what his pre-seasons look like, but at the moment, not sure.
You were giving yourself a bit of a kicking for suggesting that Solis didn't fit in very well. Here is Marmoush running into a blind alley. I said that Martin Ødegaard in the first 10 minutes looked a little bit rusty.
He did. He looked a bit slow and a bit leggy,
ended up getting the man of the match. Well, we're all a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
Aren't we? It's the start of the season.
Listen, that's what we're here for, to make people sat at home feel a lot better about themselves. You can't get everything right all the time.
Here is Semenyo down the right-hand side. Rico Lewis gives the ball to Semenyo. We've got a minute to go before the conclusion of the match, and Arsenal leading by 3 goals to 0. It probably could have been more. And actually, if there's one thing that they will be disappointed with Arsenal, is that they didn't add to that lead, and Bukayo Saka didn't score maybe twice in this second half, but he too is only just getting back into the swing of things after the summer, and it's been a short summer. Here is Rico Lewis. Oh, great tackle by Capio. And now Arsenal might go for it a little bit more, because Gyökeres is trying to bend the ball with the outside of his boot to Saka, but he didn't get enough on that, and it went straight to Mark Gay.
I'm going to ask you a question in a minute after this attack.
Marmoush moving towards the edge of the D, sends it wide, out towards Semenyo. Semenyo's had a lot of the ball but hasn't been able to do too much with it. Cuts in field on his left foot, he's travelled a long way laterally towards the edge of the area. Cut back in on his right now. It's taken a deflection, fed through to Marmoush. Marmoush out wide to Cherki. Cherki into the box, dancing into the central area. Comes through to Semenyo, who arrived late, and it was a little bit behind him and cleared away eventually by first White and then Raya right up the other end of the field. Go for it.
What is your career path if you're Rico Lewis? So I'm seeing a player there that I don't see being a regular starter at Manchester City. Once again, like the likes of Foden, he's come through the academy system and whatever. Now, needs to play football at his age. Not sure how old he is at the moment. Still very, very young.
21.
So needs to play some football.
He signed a new contract till 2030 last year.
Which is all well and good and fine, but I'm just thinking from his development point of view, I would say you need to play some football on a regular basis, have 35 games of a season at least, you know.
But he's a good player, isn't he? He's a very good player. The question is he a Manchester City player? They obviously think he is, otherwise they wouldn't have offered him that sort of contract, unless, as you said earlier, it might be that they're protecting the value. But ultimately, did he, a bit like maybe Miles Lewis-Skelly in a sense, end up falling foul of the fact that he was quite willing to go into the team when they were desperate and play at right back, then he's played at left back. His actual natural position is at the base of the midfield. That's where he wants to play, and of course his development hasn't really been there.
No, well, at this moment in time he's got Anderson and Rodri that can play that role. So I just see young players and I want them to develop and I want them to get better. He's a young English player that's not playing in the England senior squad at the moment. Not sure when the last time he was in an England squad, and where is your development as such?
Injury as well, didn't he, which sort of checked his momentum, but there's no doubt there's a talent there. They've won a free kick far side in injury time. We're into the 3rd minute, added at the end of the 90. It's Jack Grealish to take it, right-footed in towards Mark Gay, headed away by Gabriel. It's going to be another clean sheet for Arsenal here as they win the Community Shield once again. Mikel Arteta never loses this game. Ball cleared upfield by Donnarumma, taken out of the sky by Gabriel. Gabriel sends it forward. Gyökeres is onside because of Kusanov not quite switching on, but Donnarumma has come to claim on the edge of the penalty area. Remember, Alan Pardew and Majestic will take your calls from 6 o'clock. We'll have all the post-match reaction here on Talk Sport. We've got Alex going down to talk to the two managers very shortly. Semenyo is at the other end asking questions of Nkapie. Tries to go on the outside, Nkapie goes down. Across comes Gabriel. Foul is given against Semenyo. Maybe he's just putting them out of the miserable. Arsenal score Manchester City and wipe them off the park with a 3-0 victory, which could have been more. An outstanding performance from start to finish. Enzo Maresca said that the job that he had been tasked with was to bridge the gap between the two this season. Well, this afternoon at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, the gap looked like a chasm. The first silverware of the season goes to Arsenal. The champions are victorious in Cardiff, and a trio of scorers which will please their supporters. Christos Solis with a couple of assists, Ødegaard with a clinching goal. It started brilliantly and they cruised through the second half. 18 Community Shields, 6 of these in a row, and the season's first trophy goes home, decorated with red and white ribbons. The weekend may have kicked everyone out of Wembley, but on the first day of his new gig, Enzo Maresca has been sent packing by Arsenal. They won't panic. Nobody has won this and gone on to win the league since 2018, but I'm not sure they'll save their tears for another day. Arsenal 3, City 0.
a humbling game, really, for Enzo Maresca and his team, certainly. And what a dominant display it was from Arsenal then, and a superb rendition of North London Forever, whether you like it or not. That was superbly sung by those fans that are here in Cardiff to see them win the Community Shield, and the actual presentation will happen in the next few minutes as well. But let's look over that first, that game in general, shall we, with Stuart Pearce. And Stuart, we said it at half-time, it was such different performances from that first half, but it didn't really change going into the second half either. Arsenal were just so fluid, and you can just see it certainly felt as though Arsenal play as a team, yet City just have individuals who are trying to create something but can't work it all out together.
That probably sums it up very, very acutely, I've got to say. Arsenal, in and out of possession, looked a very well-drilled side that are working hard for each other. They value defensive work as well as good attacking play. They celebrate a great block in their back line as much as they do a goal as a team. Manchester City didn't hold any weight and any care to their defensive work. They were too easy to play against, and they didn't play with an intensity that was worthy of the game. They went into this game thinking, well, it's the Community Shield, part of our pre-season by the looks of things. And Arsenal, from the first moment, from the kick-off, said, I tell you what, we're coming after you. It was a very, very impressive Arsenal performance.
And yes, they both managers before kick-off talked about this not being a friendly, that it was going to be a competitive fixture. Yeah, we're coming away thinking, yeah, Arsenal showed us that completely. We didn't quite see that from Manchester City. Are there alarm bells, Sam, would you say, for this Manchester City side?
Well, look, as I mentioned beforehand, the Community Shield can often sort of tell you lies, can't it? Over the course of the last few years, we've seen that. But last year, when we watched Liverpool, they looked undercooked, and then they went into the season and they started okay, but they weren't playing very well. If Manchester City play anywhere near like that next week against Bournemouth, they'll lose. And then they will know that. The fact is that the Premier League is incredibly competitive this year, and everybody has to be at the top of their game. Arsenal look like they'd come in here ready to tell everybody that they're willing to go right the distance and do everything they did last year once again. Manchester City looked a little bit lost, and certainly, off the pace is probably being generous.
I know you're right in some ways that one match does not define a season, absolutely not, and we know that between now and the end of the transfer window there may well be changes. There may be new players coming in that can definitely, for both teams, can certainly improve them. But from what you've seen of this one game of Manchester City, have you seen much of what Enzo Maresca's been able to do with this team?
Me personally, no. If you ask me what have I seen him do with this Man City that the other fella didn't, that went before him, it's lose the intensity you need to play at.
He's not Voldemort, you can say his name. When you said the one before him.
Sounds like Crookie with Amarim, he won't say his name either.
Listen, Pep drove this team.
Yeah.
The intensity that he worked, we spoke about before the game. And I tell you what, if you give modern day players any wriggle room, or any players from any generation wriggle room to drop off an intensity, it can be dangerous. And there was a warning sign there, maybe, for everyone connected with Man City, saying we cannot afford to drop off the intensity of what we're trying to achieve in any given game.
The other thing that would worry me is that you know what it's like, and Stuart will tell you, being a manager is a very difficult job at the best of time. It's got more and more difficult. The average tenure of being a manager now is 20 months in the Premier League. It's not very long. The fact is, as soon as things don't start the way you expect them to, the eyes are on you. Enzo Maresca does not need any pressure. He does not need anybody asking questions. And this performance already starts to sort of seed questions and seed doubt in the minds of supporters. Now look, it may well be this is a one-off and they're much better next Saturday, and all of those questions that might have been fermenting end up not getting asked. The fact is though, if they don't have a great start to the season, he's already on the back foot. He's on the back foot with the supporters, he's on the back foot with the media, and it doesn't take long before you're on the back foot with the players as well. He definitely needs some acquisitions, I think that's for sure. This was a team that was being rebuilt on the fly by Pep Guardiola over the last couple of years, and they still needed some extras.
I mean, I'm just checking my vision here. That is him out there with his team, is it not?
He's standing in front of them, just grabbing his neck,
he looks
isn't he?
a very solitary figure. I've been watching him going around. They went over to the Manchester City fans that still have remained in here to give them, obviously, a round of applause for being here to support them. He barely spoke to any of his players as he was doing that.
You know what? Sometimes people expect, because you're the manager of the team, you've got all the answers all the time, and all the verbals all the time. And there's sometimes, after you've been beaten 3-0 and you know your team have been wiped the floor with, and you've worked at things during the week, and some of these things that you've worked on and the impurities in your team might have come home to roost today that he's already seen, looking forward to a season's campaign. Some he hasn't. Some he would have put the team out there. His game plan in his head was blown out the water on 27 seconds. That's the beauty of management, you know what I mean? That you've got to find a different way, and there was so many question marks. Didn't defend well enough, weren't intense in their defending, didn't play when they did turn it over and go and attack the opposition, didn't get there first, weren't first to the ball in both boxes often enough. You know, all of those things are massive question marks to a man who's taken on one of the biggest jobs in the world.
Well, he was asked the question about, is this the impossible job to follow Pep Guardiola? And his response to it was to say, it might well be, but it's also a privilege to take on this role. Yeah, absolutely, it is a privilege. But just in one game, and I do reiterate it, you can't define a manager, you can't define a team on one game, but it does feel as though this has been a very humbling afternoon for Manchester City.
I mean, I actually am quite surprised, actually. I know that some of the players have only just come back from international duty. I think we're going to get a lot of this in the early part of the season, because I don't know how you feel about it. You were out the World Cup until the end of the semi-finals, but you were right to the end. We were here there right to the very end. We know it feels very quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels very, very quick. And the big players had no rest last year. Declan Rice is one of those. Erling Haaland, another one of those. So it has happened very quickly. There hasn't been much time to work with some of these players. So I do think that over the course of the season, they will get better. I do think that there's going to be slow starts for a few of those we expect to do well this campaign, or hope that would do well this year. So I don't think we can read too much in it, but it wasn't great, was it? I mean, if you're a Man City supporter, you'd be pretty cheesed off.
I know we are focusing on Manchester City right now, and we should be talking about Arsenal, but they are the story in how disappointing this Manchester City team were. And Donnarumma himself, people will be asking questions of him right now. Someone who's so experienced, you expect a lot more from.
And didn't go to the World Cup, by the way.
No, exactly.
He conceded 3 horrific goals. Just lied down for 2 of them, and the other one he fumbled into the back of the net. And I'm going to ask Sam now, when was the last time, off the top of your head, you saw Man City play that badly?
I can't remember. I think that I'd probably go to, what was that game where they played and they got absolutely beaten up by... they conceded a load of goals.
Arsenal 5-1 they lost.
It was, yeah, there was that one. But they had that spell, that horrible spell a couple of years ago where they couldn't stop losing. And even when they were going ahead, they were losing. They were terrible during that period. But it was probably that akin to one of those performances. You know, they threw away a 3-goal lead, didn't they, in the Champions League?
Well, my point is, you've got to go back a couple of years to pull it out.
Yeah. Before the rebuild. Yeah. Definitely. And then they're just walking up now to get their losers' medals. They're not used to losers' medals, are they? But it's certainly something that they won't be happy with. Erling Haaland starting today. I wonder if that's a little bit of a surprise, actually. I wonder if he regrets doing that. Bearing in mind he hasn't had too many... I mean, not that he's the most athletic, Stuart.
Well, listen, he probably played a normal game that he normally does, you know, takes no part in the game and then gets the odd opportunity. But when he had the odd opportunity today, it was either well marshalled by the Arsenal backline or he was just seen out of the equation.
Well, he had 7 touches in the game, 2 shots, only one of which were on target.
Oh dear.
So not a great game or period for Erling Haaland. But again, you can argue that he hasn't had that much time off.
No.
Some have had more. Some have been given that time to rest a little bit more than he has potentially. And when you think back to what happened at the World Cup, what a carrier he was for Norway in a positive way. you can maybe understand they might not be quite yet up to speed.
I think the thing is we're being quite kind here. We keep reminding people it's pre-season, it's Community Shield, it's not the end of the world. It just feels, and I think we all feel the same thing. There's alarm bells ringing.
It just feels deflating.
It does feel like there's alarm bells
ringing. If you're a Manchester City fan, you feel
that's
very
the only thing. I think we all feel that. That's why we're all looking at each other and trying to be a little bit respectful. New manager, new season, whatever. But it was a stinker.
You said to me at the start of the game, before the ball was kicked, can you read anything into this? And I'm going to say, I'll get in my car and go home tonight and be thinking about the game, thinking about each individual team performance. Think how the Man City fans have all left the stadium now. Think about their mindset, you know. They've been champions-elect for the last decade and beyond. All of a sudden they're thinking, uh-oh, is it all coming to a horrible end? That's what they'll be thinking.
Well, Arsenal now heading up to receive their winners' medals, Sam.
Yes, they are. And they're getting those from the Bobby Moore Award winner, Dr. Zakir Khan, who is an advisor to Inner London Football League, over 80 teams, 1,000 players. Dr. Zakir Khan's 40-year story puts him at the heart of inclusivity in grassroots football very much being championed today here at the FA Community Shield. He was a player in Tower Hamlets in the 1980s, and he founded an Asian league, a safe space for players from India, Pakistan and Bangladesh and beyond, and he today gets to hand out the winner's medal to the Arsenal players. Debbie Hewitt down there as well, putting them into his hand, and Piero Nkapie, the latest to receive one of those winners' medals, and Arsenal getting used to picking up winners' medals and setting the tone. And what a day for Miles Lewis-Skelly. We maybe started the week wondering where he would be playing his football. He certainly had made a statement with a goal against Como in midweek in pre-season, and then the performance today. Kai Havertz, who scored the second goal of the game for Arsenal, is all smiles as he receives his medal, and so is Declan Rice, who came on at half-time to get some minutes, his first minutes of pre-season, and Bukayo Saka did the same. Had two good chances actually to extend Arsenal's lead, didn't quite manage to finish them off. The manager, Mikel Arteta, has talked about making sure this team know exactly what's required to go and repeat the feat. He doesn't want them to take the foot off the gas. By the evidence of the day, they certainly have not done that. They have come out in front of what was a largely Arsenal crowd here, and they have made a statement of intent going into the brand new season. Martin Ødegaard picks up yet another trophy. He walks across with the Community Shield. He revs up the crowd. He grabs hold of the trophy by its side, walks in front of the stage, in front of his expectant squad, wobbles down to the floor, and the champions of England win the Community Shield. Martin Ødegaard throws it up into the sky, the pyrotechnics go off, and Arsenal celebrate an 18th Community Shield, a sixth of these in a row, and on the ground where they lifted trophies all through the early 2000s. A new generation starts its own collection. Ødegaard, only the third man to captain Arsenal to the league title. Tony Adams, Patrick Vieira, and now the Norwegian. And Vieira's very last kick for the club was the winning penalty on this pitch in 2005. 22 years between titles, 11 weeks since the herd of the Champions League final in Budapest, and the first pot of the new season is a red one. The badge on that shield says champions, and on today's evidence, that still fits.
Well, you can hear it. The Arsenal fans are certainly enjoying themselves here as they lift that Community Shield, as Sam was saying, for an 18th time, and it's the third time under Mikel Arteta as well. And lovely to see all the coaches and staff being urged to come on and enjoy those celebrations with the team as well. Plenty more for us to look back on. We have to discuss Arsenal as well and what this performance means for them going into the new season, and of course what that means for the rest of those Premier League teams too. But Arsenal, comfortable 3-0 winners over Manchester City in the Community Shield, live on TalkSport.
Sport
It's in your DNA. That's why at SpreadX Sports, you get great offers and features to aid your sports betting, including £30 in free bets when you join and place a qualifying £10 fixed odds bet at minimum odds of 1 to 2. Visit spreadx.com/DNA for full terms and conditions. SpreadX Sports. It's in our DNA. 18 plus gambleaware.org. Qualifying bets cannot be cashed out early. Once settled, get 3 free £10 fixed odds bets on consecutive days.